My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. With a stalker, a demon stalking in the middle of the night with the Ontario police. This is surveillance by the entity that is engaged in monitoring. And that's the agency that does not mind. They already know they're being disbanded. That's the only reason why you would engage in that sort of foolish, obvious criminal monitoring, targeting. Because you have no expectation of having any stance, any position of legitimacy in court. Especially when you're hundreds and hundreds of video documentation and of videos of documenting ongoing targeting. Let me remind you, it's 2:03 a.m. where a demon is driving in slow motion, stalking me in relevant position, while the demons are crossing path with the helicopter. So this demon is driving in slow motion, stalking on the F Street, and then this demon is flying over on F Street over my head together while I walk over here and begin going through my bag, monitoring me. And remember, they're doing it. It is surveillance. It's happening in the specific environment. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, this is the engineer environment where this is ongoing stalking all night long. All these people are monitoring me, and these are demon-possessed people with the police that are up stalking me all night. That's P.O.C. It's currently 2:03 a.m. This is the outward proof of mental illness. Stalking with light, stalking in the middle of the night, and this is stalking. This isn't somebody that's sitting on the phone in the middle of the street at 2 a.m, chit-chatting on the phone, where there's no businesses open. This is somebody that is stalking with light. The engineered environment, the engineered environment that's present during the day, a fake sun over me, and the multiple shadows and the entity that just flew over my head by helicopter. That's a psychopath. And that's a demon-possessed person, and they're stalking as a whole population, and they keep my vagina under surveillance. P.O.C. It's 2:04 a.m. Alright, you can see the shadow of that vehicle. They're driving by it. They're driving in what is impossible light, and it's impossible light while the shadow of that car is appearing in the opposite lane across the sidewalk. They're driving in engineer light, the same engineer light you see at nightfall where the Ontario police are stalking my helicopter at the same location. This is engineer light on the wall. The shadow of the trees appearing on the wall is impossible light activity. It's speaking to the trajectory of light. They're all in it. They're all driving in it. They're all demons, gang stalking. And they are gang stalking me while you see the shadow of the bench on the floor and the shadow of the bench on the wall. This is impossible light activity. This is where the entity is engaged in what is stalking. And that's the fake sun that's in alignment with me where I'm at 537 North Euclid Avenue. The entity has the fake sun, as I've documented, in alignment to what is 415 North Euclid Avenue when I'm on that end of the street, waking up 6:33 a.m., capturing the fake sun that moves north and south up this street as I move at the speed that I move. That's why when I'm in a vehicle, the fake sun is moving. And as you see, while I remain still, the fake sun remains still. They're stalking, they're targeting in that environment, which is supernatural. They're all driving in what is engineer light, not sunlight, the same engineer light that's present at nightfall that creates multiple shadows. The engineer light that you see inside of the Fontana Lewis Library, that's bouncing all about and swimming across the ceiling, that's what they're driving in. This is the fake sun that's not both rising in alignment to me in Ontario and setting in alignment to me in Fontana, inside of the Fontana Lewis Library, where it's also setting on Euclid Avenue. Remember the Route 66 show? I'm at the same location walking the ARCO, the Chevron, after 6 p.m. and the demons of the Ontario police are gang stalking through a city event with the people of the state under the fake sun. The gang stalkers of the Ontario National Airport are gang stalking while I'm on this same location, the same street, and the fake sun is remaining. That's 7:47 a.m. is the current time. The entity had the fake sun in alignment to me as I'm documenting yesterday on the bus. All right, this is the entity that's engaging in that P.O.C. Impossible light activity moving across the wall. Those are demons. All right, and you see the same thing at nightfall. Those are demons inside of the Fontana Lewis Library where the engineer light is swimming across the ceiling. And the demons are on the roads and the highways outside of that library where I'm on a heightened level above. And there is no reflection where you are driving under the fake sun and the entity has what is engineer light that's moving inside of the building. That's what these demons do when I'm in Starbucks, however. That's what these demons do when they are driving by. It's the same pattern of conduct. And the entity is remaining in alignment to me with a fake sun while I am at the same time on Route 61. And I am showing you the fake sun that's in alignment to me while I'm headed towards the city of Pomona, when I'm in Pomona. And the entity is engaging in this because I did not go to another city and also because I didn't get up. Because when I'm at the Ontario Town Square, that's where the fake sun is rising. All right, this is indeed P.O.C. This is, again, domestic terrorism. While demons are engaging in this conduct, driving north and south, there's no reflection of light that results in that. This is the entity that's speaking to mental illness, and this is a population of mentally ill stalkers who are engaging in, this is again exposing mental illness that is an issue, an epidemic, the reality of it contrary to the propaganda you've been given about mental illness, especially those that don't suffer mental illness at all. This is the entity that's, again, demon possessed. This is the Nephilim that are all engaging in the same demented pattern of conduct, all engaging in the same criminal conduct and sexual violence as well. This is P.O.C. It is currently 7:48 a.m. Each one is engaging in the P.O.C. crossing path with me, stalking where the fake sun is. They're all engaging in that pattern of conduct of stalking together. That's why the fake sun is in alignment to me. And that's the difference between the demon and the one that the demon is stalking. The fake sun is over me at this same church at 11 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock in the afternoon when I walk out. The fake sun at 12:34 p.m. is over me while I'm in the parking lot of the Chevron and the ARCO. At 12:34 in the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking. This entity suggesting that the sun is 5 hours from now still going to be over the same street in alignment to the same person as well, or that fake sun is this in the zenith over the top of my head. This is the pattern of conduct, and it is absurdly impossible, and that's speaking to the demonic. And these are nothing other than demons. This is P.O.C. It is currently 7:49 a.m. at 537 North Euclid Avenue. This is College Park and Central Avenue in the city of Chino. This is Route 87, and that's the fake sun that's remaining in alignment to me on a different bus route in a different city. However, at the same time, I'm capturing the same supernatural phenomenon. First of all, it requires a grand departure from being on Euclid Avenue at the Ontario Town Square, over me at Chevron and ARCO, where Leonida, for example, Builders LLC, are gang stalking in the form of being construction workers in relevant position engaging in landscaping, and then the next they're drilling at the OVITT Family Community Library sidewalk at that entrance at 10 o'clock in the morning. But nonetheless, this is the fake sun at 8:19 a.m. and I am in the city of Rancho Cucamonga, capturing on Route 61 at 8:19 a.m. the fake sun, the same circumstance, which is impossible. That which is in Chino, California, in the window, the passenger side of Route 87 from the city of Ontario on Euclid Avenue to the city of Chino is not going to remain outside of the window of every vehicle in every city going in every direction for the duration of the day. This is not also remaining stationary over the Ontario Town Square, where the people of the state are stalking on the roads and the highways, monitoring me under the fake sun that remains stationary. This is the documentation. It's also in the city of Pomona, where I'm remaining yesterday. That's how I'm able to capture the specific environment where I'm in the city of Pomona, and then getting on Route 61 and going back to the city of Ontario into the city of Fontana. It is Central Avenue and Schaefer, where the entity is maintaining the fake sun on the roads and the highways, and this is understanding the entity that's engaged in surveillance. And surveillance is established by the environment and the behavioral patterns of those in the environment. And the behavioral pattern is supposed to present as normal everyday society, and it's not. They're driving and present, living, working, traveling in an environment that is conducive to surveillance, and it's also very obvious. And there's nothing normal about that, and it is also that which they are aware of. And they engage in using that environment to harass and terrorize, psychologically torture, and sexually violate. This is underway in the city of Chino. It's currently 8:21 a.m. This is relevant to the P.O.C. that I'm subject to. This is the demon that's monitoring 9 p.m. E833, and they're under the fake sun that is not the same natural environment as the demons on Euclid Avenue who are gang stalking, which is the case for all of them. Street for street, turn for turn. Route 83 from Ontario to Chino. All right, this is P.O.C. This is every business engaged in their pattern of conduct. This is not a Rancho Cucamonga. This is not what's going to be outside of the window of the vehicle while I'm on San Bernardino Avenue, 4th Street. This is what the entity is maintaining around me as I remain subject to surveillance, and I am detailing and documenting in order to prosecute the entity that's engaging in criminal surveillance monitoring. P.O.C. Alrighty, it is currently 8:39 a.m. This is video documentation if you're well, I am right now stationary on foot. I'm remaining at the Chino Transit Center, and the fake sun is over me in the city of Chino. That's called crossing path stalking, both by a business, Omnitrans, also operated by a demon, based on your knowledge of the pattern of conduct, where public corruption is underway, and this is actually the government that's keeping you under surveillance. That's impossible light activity that moves across the sidewalk while you're being gang stalked by a business that you're going to civilly and criminally prosecute. And you also know that because at 8:38 a.m. I'm on Route 61. That doesn't run anywhere near Route 88, 1404973 bus 1329. That's a sex offense. And it's also pursuant to criminal surveillance. And it's not a coincidence that they pull up in order to engage in that light activity and stalking conduct as I begin recording under the fake sun. That would not be at Juniper and San Bernardino Avenue while I'm on Route 61 that is moving in real time in traffic on the roads and the highways, as opposed to what is being stationary. And not just stationary, I'm stationary in the city of Chino. And you can't see what's over at the intersection of Juniper and yeah, that's impossible light that you see monitoring. You can't see what's over me through the windows of the bus in Fontana, California, turning from San Bernardino Avenue to Juniper. From what is Chino, California, through the parking lot over the Chino courthouse, the San Bernardino County Chino, city of Chino. That's what this venue is right here. And that's also how you know that Omnitrans is gang stalking. That's why I'm subject to terrorism aboard Omnitrans. All routes are engaged in that pattern of conduct, including molesting with impossible light, like employee 3545 is while I'm on the inside. You see this impossible light activity that's outside, but you also have the impossible light activity that's on the inside, and none of it is the product of sunlight. Neither is that the sun that's remaining over me on the buses of Omnitrans. Employee number 2647 engaged in repeating that same sex offense committed as the government, the entity that's keeping you under surveillance, and that includes Omnitrans. That is a state actor, a violent sex offender, and a terrorist engaging in surveillance. That's why that demon, as I begin recording under the fake sun, stops at the stop and then turns, which is pacing, and goes off of the property. It's not pursuant to a schedule. This supersedes what an entity would claim they're doing pursuant to any business, pursuant to where they live. They're engaged in monitoring. And these are demons doing that. All right, you're going to compare the city of Fontana with the city of Chino, where the sun is at the same time over me, which is what I'm documenting. It's the P.O.C. identifying the targeted individual. It is currently 8:42 a.m. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, license 9ULN 780, the Ontario Fire. This is the El Super Shopping Plaza. This is Mountain Avenue. This is the Chase Bank. I'm documenting in the middle of the afternoon, 12 o'clock, 12:08 p.m. at this Chase Bank. Fake sun over the top of my head. It's currently 9:17 a.m. This is in late 2024, where the entity's keeping the fake sun at Chase Bank, where my private information is public, where they're molesting with impossible light. At the same time, the entity's keeping the fake sun over the Ontario Police Department at 2500 South Archibald Avenue, where they're stalking, maintaining amplified audible activity and maintaining light activity like this demon is doing in the path under the fake sun, where I'm on Route 84, and the entity's engaging what is stalking as a community of demons. And this is the pattern of conduct going from the city of Ontario to the city of Chino, and it is the identical ceaseless pattern of conduct on the roads and the highways, which is exposing federal stalking under Title 18, Section 22618, subsections 1 and 2. And it is encompassed within the scientific fact that the sun is not over my head in the way that I'm capturing it on October 1st, 2025 at 9:16 a.m. when the entity is keeping the fake sun over me in the parking lot of the Ontario Police Department, and also keeping it over me while I'm in the city of Fontana, for example, and I'm reminding you about the entity keeping that fake sun over me. I'm at the Ontario Town Square reminding you about the entity keeping that fake sun over me. What's over Mountain Avenue is not sitting over the Ontario Town Square at 224 North Euclid Avenue. All right, it's moving as I move street for street, turn for turn on Route 84, while the people of the state are getting on and off the bus, which is crossing the path, while the people of the state are maintaining presence in the environment, which is on the bus, around the bus, 7ZQJ699, 9GMN129. These are demons, and they're targeting with impossible light while I'm on the bus. They're also all targeting while you see a fake sun. Right? This is the proof of targeting, and the fake sun is not which is anywhere in Florida 3 hours ahead of us. This is not in Florida. This is not the natural environment. That's not the sun. It's also not over the Ontario Police Department at the same time, but documenting it is proving the Ontario Police targeting, in addition to the public nuisance that I'm subject to while they are stalking me day and night in helicopters. P.O.C. This is Walmart at Mountain and 5th Street. That's the entity that airlines, stalking in the path, flying higher than the, stalking everywhere that I'm at, doing so. That's not a takeoff. They're not taking off anywhere. They're maintaining aerial surveillance. That's P.O.C. It is currently 9:19 a.m. This is the fake sun moving as I move. Okay, the same pattern of conduct, Route 61, Route 87, Route 83. This is the entity that's engaging what is proven to be stalking. as it is occurring in a specific environment that is designed conducive for surveillance, and demons are engaging in monitoring and engineered light. P.O.C. Alrighty, it is currently 9:30 a.m. The entity is engaged in ongoing monitoring, doing so while on the bus, which is Route 84 on Central Avenue at Arrow Highway in Upland, California. This is called crossing path under a fake sentence stalking 7RNF260 as a third party that's not ignorantly engaging in that. These are demons that are engaging in monitoring, which is surveillance committed by a government, and they're doing so pursuant to the conspiracy to commit murder. This is why the government targets, and the government is proven to be targeting under what is a fake sun. If you recall my documentation at what is 9:30 a.m., the entity has a fake sun over me at the Fontana Police Department. Those are the demons that are under the fake sun. Also, as I'm capturing video of that same plaza, the Fontana Lewis Library and the Fontana Police Department, are in the same plaza, like the Ontario Town Square and the OVITT Family Community Library and the Ontario City Hall. It's the same plaza. The entity has the fake sun after 5 p.m. at that same location, the Fontana Police Department, where I'm capturing the fake sun in alignment to me after 5 p.m. This is 9:30 a.m. in the city of Upland. Street for street, turn for turn, Route 84 that I have not been on before, and the entity is going into the city of Montclair. This is not over me, over the Fontana Police Department, nor is it at the same time, because there's only one sun. And I'm showing this light source that is hovering in the sky space, remaining over the vehicle that I am inside of. Every street and every turn that it makes, this fake sun does as well. And it is where that which is also not sunlight. And you are also recognizing that because of the nature of the pattern of conduct, the sun that is not maintaining ubiquitous presence over foothill transit that's going in the opposite direction is remaining over me to stop where I stop. That's not sunlight that you'll see here. If, while the light source, the sun, the entity suggests the sun is over the Fontana Police Department, then it's mutually exclusive. This is not sunlight then. None of this is sunlight. And the sun is not maintaining presence over all of us everywhere, no matter direction, like the sky is. This is the Montclair Transit Center, and the entity is engaging what is stalking with a fake sun that is over the Fontana Police Department, exposing the state of California, not just that the demons of the Fontana Police Department are engaging in stalking. This is P.O.C. Montclair Transit Center. This is P.O.C. And again, Foothill Transit gang stalking at another transit center with the city of Pomona, with the city of Montclair, while they are engaging in that P.O.C. It is currently 9:32 a.m. This is P.O.C. This is employee number 4282. Keeping me under surveillance on the roads and the highways. This is federal stalking under Title 18, Section 22618, subsections 1 and 2. None of this is sunlight. This is pursuant to surveillance. P.O.C. This is the city of Montclair, gang stalking with Omnitrans. Doing so in engineer light and the fake sun. She's walking off the bus crossing path. She's doing so as this is the demon that knows I'm recording, and this is the city of Montclair engaging in the same pattern of conduct, stalking by planes in Pomona, stalking by planes and helicopters in Ontario, the same pattern of conduct in Fontana. This is the entity that's engaging in what is the main possible light activity. And I want to be clear, while I'm standing over here in the engineered light, because this is not sunlight and this is not the natural environment, but when I go to sit at the shade, immediately the bus arrives. And this is the maintenance of what is engineered light to keep me under surveillance while I'm not covered in what is direct light. This is P.O.C. And this is a shadow in this light and a shadow here. And she's engaged in monitoring. She's engaged in surveillance. She's also engaged in surveillance while she's using her cell phone in the engineered environment. It's all Title 18, and Omnitrans is engaging in it with the city of Montclair, targeting me with the city of Fontana, targeting me with the city of Pomona, targeting me with the city of Ontario. They're engaging in that pattern of conduct in San Bernardino and LA County. In other words, this is P.O.C. It's currently 9:46 a.m. The entity's keeping the fake sun over me in Ontario. 9:45 a.m. where the Ontario police are gang stalking me in helicopter. The city of Ontario stalking me by planes. Nothing occurring under the sun is going to cause this engineer light that you see on both sides of the buses dragging behind them while you're looking at what is the maintenance of an environment conducive to monitoring. And there are demons that are knowingly knowingly and intentionally in that environment, showing you, however, what is federal stalking, while the entity, the government, is engaging in surveillance, and it's demonic. This is the Montclair Transit Center, the city of Montclair, that's targeting me, knows exactly who I am, knows everything that I'm doing. Sex offenders keeping your genitalia under surveillance throughout the city of Montclair. All right, it's not a private space in any bathroom. They're engaging in surveillance with the sex offenders who are the people of the state. All right, and it's mental illness and public corruption simultaneously being exposed. It is 9:47 a.m. This is P.O.C. License 1545812. This is P.O.C. See the fake sun moves as I move. This is the sheriffs that are gang stalking with the people of the state. See the fake sun's moving over me while they're all crossing path. That's the purpose of keeping a fake sun. And this is the pathetic posture of the demon-possessed that wear uniforms that they are unfit to wear, bearing weapons. This is federal prison, and having an excuse to be in my presence when they're stalking. There's no sun that's going to be over the Ontario Town Square at 9:59 a.m. Fontana Lewis Library, people. 9:59 a.m. License 1546548. Those are the demons of the San Bernardino County Sheriff. Which department is this? Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. They're gang stalking, and they're bearing weapons and doing so. I just want to be clear, this is federal prison. This is the government that is engaged in criminal surveillance. And this is, again, criminal conduct, demons that are wearing those uniforms. This is the public corruption that I'm exposing. Demons that are engaging in the same exact conduct, 1546548. And their knowledge and their specific targeting me is not based on a conversation with another demon that's monitoring me as well. It's the presence of the sun in defiance of nature and common sense and science. And that's the entity, the corrupt government that's engaging criminal surveillance. That's why the city of Montclair is flying over my head while a fake sun is over me. And they're gang stalking with the people of the state while she's Omnitrans is maintaining light activity for purposes of monitoring. And that fake sun remains over me. When I'm over there, the fake sun is over me. They're stalking me. When I approach them, the fake sun remains over me while I'm in their close presence. They're stalking me. That's P.O.C. It is currently 9:56 a.m. At 9:59 a.m., I'm at the Fontana Lewis Library. So this is evidence that is relevant to that. I'm at the entrance of the Fontana Lewis Library in Fontana, California. You are stalking in the path under a whole fake sun. That is not over 8437 Sierra Avenue in Fontana, California. And it's not just at that moment in time, because I am walking on Sierra Avenue in the city of Fontana, coming from the Fontana Metrolink train station, after getting off of Route 61, where the entity kept the fake sun for the duration of the route, just like what is happening on Route 84, just like what's happening on what is Route 87, just like what's happening on Route 61 when I'm going to Pomona. All right, this is the P.O.C. It's currently 9:56 a.m. The entity's keeping the fake sun while I'm sitting at the Ontario Town Square on Euclid Avenue, where I captured the fake sun rising over me at 7:46 a.m. today. And the entity has that light source at 9:59 a.m. as I was juxtaposing that with the Fontana Lewis Library. This is P.O.C. and the government comes engaging in the pattern of conduct under the guise of the people of the state. That's the public corruption in operation. This is P.O.C. They're flying under the fake sun. Pay attention, that's a demon. And this is criminal surveillance by the government. This is the city of Montclair. And I've documented Montclair Transit Center engaging in the pattern of conduct. This is not only demonic, it's the prosecution of the state of California that is indeed the Nephilim. And the fake sun is revealing a population of demons that are engaging in what is exposed as criminal surveillance in California. And it's relevant to Title 18, Section 22618, subsections 1 and 2. And the Department of Corrections are a guise of what is law enforcement engaging in criminal monitoring surveillance. P.O.C. and Omnitrans, Foothill Transit are creating light activity. It's 9:57 a.m. Alrighty, you're looking at an environment that defies nature. This is all relevant. Everybody on the bus is gang stalking. Everybody on the roads and the highways is gang stalking. Every business is gang stalking. Every facilitating venue, what they call their homes, where they don't have any privacy and they don't have any shelter from a federal prosecution. This is P.O.C. In the city on Central Avenue, in the city of what is Upland, and headed toward what is Foothill. At 10:08 a.m. I'm on Route 61 yesterday on San Bernardino Avenue, 4th Street in Edwanda, passing the West Valley Detention Center at that intersection. I'm on Route 66, which is at Arrow Route. I just want to show you to see. This is Arrow Route. In Upland, California, license 8LBM 595, crossing path. with as an entity. The traffic is surveillance. It's not traffic. It's not private activity. It's the entity that's engaging the P.O.C. in concert with the government that you see stalking me by planes, and maintaining a light source over me throughout the city as I'm going from Ontario to Chino to Upland to Montclair, and the entity is maintaining the light source outside of the window on Route 61 at 10:08 a.m. yesterday, October 4th. The entity is maintaining that light source through the passenger side of that bus while driving on 4th Street at Etowanda, San Bernardino Avenue at Etowanda, and that's also why I'm capturing at that intersection, because I'm documenting West Valley Detention Center gang stalking, a corrupt facility engaging in surveillance, the demonic pattern of conduct. All of fake sun is over the top of my head at that same West Valley Detention Center, like I documented July 5th, 2025 at 12:51 in the afternoon. I'm on Route 66 on what is Central Avenue in Upland, California, and that's comparing to what is the pattern of conduct, stalking with the method of light, and they're all stalking with light under a fake sun when I'm in a location where the sun is not simultaneously over Route 61, over the passenger side of the bus, and what is Rancho Cucamonga, California. Okay, that's the pattern of conduct underway. It's 10:10 a.m. The entity is engaged in this pattern of conduct with regard to every city and every county, while that specific environment that I'm showing you is remaining over me, as I am indeed the target of the state of California that's engaging in surveillance. And that is captured through what is the surveillance system, the supernatural of a light source remaining over me. This is not on San Bernardino Avenue and Etowanda in Rancho Cucamonga. This is not the natural environment. It's not the sun. It's the crime scene. It's the stage where the demon possessed at that are engaging in what is surveillance, and they're stalking as a population. This is P.O.C. Excuse me. Thank you. All right, this is engineer light. That's not sunlight. Maintenance so that you're molested as you walk off on the bus. Occurring on the inside and outside. The fake sun remains stationary as the bus departs. Bus 2352 1545812. This is surveillance systematically underway on the roads and the highways by a corrupt business that's providing what is public transportation while simultaneously engaging in surveillance with the government as a state actor, not a private company. Omnitrans is literally a function of San Bernardino County, however, but a company like Foothill Transit's not a private company, it's a third party. They're engaging in surveillance in concert with the government, and that's the same for every property. They're not private businesses, they're engaging in surveillance. That's why when I'm at what is 20 East Foothill at the current time, 10:18 a.m., the entity is keeping the fake sun while I'm on the entirety of that bus route. The entity keeps the fake sun as I'm remaining for the entirety of the bus route from Ontario, Euclid Avenue to Chino at the Chino Transit Center. As I go from the Chino Transit Center, the entirety of that route from Chino into Montclair to the Montclair Transit Center. As I get off, not going, but you know that the fake sun remains over me as I'm on Route 61 going to the Fontana Metrolink Transit Center. But the reason why it's not is because I got off of that bus because Omnitrans is gang stalking. In concert with the people of the state, this is not traffic, this is surveillance. And these are demons that stalk with light. This is the malicious and what is an illusion of the natural environment, and it remains over me, proving that they're demons and proving that they're engaging in what is surveillance. Practically, they're all stalking. Okay, that's what this is. This is stalking, and it's group stalking. They're all stalking. Even the establishments, the businesses are stalking as you're going to prosecute the public entity engaging in the pattern of conduct. Why and how? Because when I approach the property of 60 East Foothill Boulevard, so does the specific environment. It follows me, which is terrorism, as you're going to prosecute it. And that establishment shall be prosecuted for that crime scene that remains over me while they are engaging in the pattern of conduct and facilitation of it. They're not ignorant of that environment. It is systematic engagement in that pattern of conduct. That's P.O.C. All noise and presence is pursuant to criminal monitoring, and there's no warrant or probable cause. And this is the prosecution of the state of California. Fontana, Pomona, Chino, Montclair, Upland, California, as I'm showing you a fake sun that's remaining over me. That is untenable. And it is also a criminal prosecution, a conviction of the United States government to a scientific degree. It is above, beyond a reasonable doubt. This is P.O.C. It's currently 10:20 a.m. And that is the infamous Upland Public. where I have, over a term of years, many of occasions, documented the city of Upland gang stalking me while I'm inside of the Upland Public Library at the Upland City Hall, 460 North Euclid Avenue, 450 North Euclid Avenue, the city of Upland. That's gang stalking. This is relevant to state surveillance. That's stating to be a U.S. Air Force veteran. This is another demon unfit to be even associated with the military, where they're engaging in the un-American and the demonic pattern of conduct. They're engaging in monitoring my vagina, and they're associating being a veteran with criminal conduct of a satanic nature. License 52352. That is obsessively stalking. This old white male, this is a demon, in surveillance with America. Okay, this is what they call themselves, being veterans. And this is at the Upland Public Library. And there's no sun in a natural environment that's over the Upland Public Library. Remember, it opens at 10 o'clock. I would routinely be there, enter in, just like the OVITT Family Community Library, which this is not over that. And the entity's keeping the fake sun in alignment to me, coming from the city of Upland, California, where they're monitoring my vagina inside of the Vons. And they're engaging in the sex offense as an entity, while the entity keeps a fake sun showing you that they're targeting me while I'm in the bathroom. Sex offenders engaging in what is that pattern of conduct. It is currently 10:59 a.m. The entity is keeping the fake sun when I'm approaching the Fontana Lewis Library at or around this time at Arrow and Sierra in Fontana, California, as I arrived later than what I did on October 1st, 2025, but yet in Upland, California on Route 83, which is what the route that I got on started on the same Euclid Avenue, okay? The fake sunrise was on Euclid Avenue in Ontario at 537 North Euclid Avenue. This is Euclid Avenue in Upland, and it's the same street. I'm the same person documenting the same pattern of conduct where the fake sun has not gone anywhere as I get on routes 83 to Chino, 84 to Montclair, and what is 66 to Upland, and this is the 83 back into the city of Ontario, and the entity maintaining that fake sun for the entirety of that time through the window of the venue where the people of the state are engaged in surveillance. It's not traffic. 9 PBL 397. Neither are there any constitutional rights protecting this state surveillance. It is P.O.C. It is currently 11 a.m. This is Route 83. P.O.C. Alrighty, this is P.O.C. Going past the American and the Bank of America. If you'll recall, September 1st, 2025 at 7:29 in the morning, the fake sun is outside of my hotel room window that was not moving. That fake sun was stationary in perfect alignment with my hotel room window that was facing Euclid Avenue. And I checked out of that room at 11 a.m. and that fake sun was still there. That was September 1st. And then I went to the Ramada by Wyndham on G Street. This is the same location where I was this morning, where the fake sun was rising in alignment to me, and the people of the state who are engaged in surveillance, not traffic, not constitutionally protected speech, they're all engaged in gang stalking together, and the entity is maintaining the fake sun on this same street over me, the same person, as I'm documenting, after going throughout city to city at that. This is where I'm walking in the morning to the Ontario Town Square, and the fake sun is over me, just like it is when I'm at the Ontario Town Square, and the people of the state are gang stalking on the roads and the highways with the airport and with the police department and the fire department. As I'm going from Ontario to Chino to Montclair to Upland back to Ontario, you're looking at the pattern of conduct. The fake sun that's rising in alignment to me at 7:47 a.m. is still over me at what is 11:08 a.m. on the same street. This is the pattern of conduct. This is the city of Ontario. This is P.O.C. That's the downtown Ontario luxury apartments. P.O.C. Alrighty, it is currently it's 11:12. This is called criminal summoning. This is the Ontario Police. This is the tactic of what is gang stalking with the people of the state. This is a demon in a police vehicle creating light activity in my path, and they are actually monitoring the person that is at a distance from them when they're talking to the people of the state who are both gang stalking me in concert with the government's public corruption. For knowledge of that is the fact the fake sun is over me at the same Wells Fargo that it is when that same department is gang stalking me by helicopter at this same address, Wells Fargo at 240 North Euclid Avenue, when I'm sitting at this Ontario Town Square, when at 10 a.m. in the morning, the sun is supposed to be over the OVITT Family Community Library if they weren't demon-possessed, gang-stalking sex offenders keeping my vagina under surveillance in the bathroom at that venue, where the entity's keeping the fake sun at the entrance, where these demons engage in targeting. Targeting is identified in the environment that defies nature, where they're demon-possessed or engaging in the elements of monitoring. Monitoring on your devices, monitoring on the internet, and monitoring your person. They're gang stalking with the people of the state that are physically surrounding. I'm taking pictures of the demons that are crossing path in traffic. They're monitoring together with the Ontario Police Department. That's criminal summoning. This is what the entity is doing under a fake sun that is not over the OVITT Family Community Library, which is right down yonder. And this is the same position that the fake sun is in at 6 p.m. when I'm merely standing on that side facing this direction. It's an illusion regarding the environment where the Ontario police are being disbanded for engaging in the conspiracy to murder me by gang stalking me as a corrupt agency, using the vehicles for criminal purposes, using their helicopters for criminal purposes, including psychological torture and domestic terrorism, while they're engaged in federal stalking on the venue of the internet. And this is the fake sun that's over me while I am walking toward the OVITT Family Community Library, not in the natural environment where it would already be there, because the sun is not engaging what is providing individualized attention to each one of us. As though there's one sun per person and everybody's going to document this sort of conduct as you're literally going from city to city on public transportation, and that fake sun is remaining over you no matter what route, no matter what direction you're going, no matter what time of day. And I'm documenting this with regard to what is not over the OVITT Family Community Library. And this is the entity that committed kidnapping pursuant to a criminal pattern of conduct with that agency that is stalking me day and night. And that's why that agency, exposed as a domestic terrorist, is going to be federally prosecuted and disbanded. This is the absence of any sun over that entrance. That's letting you know about the engineer light that's covering that walkway over the elevator. That's not sunlight that's covering the staircase that's over the elevator. Those are a bunch of demons, and they're all pacing around amongst engineer light that's touching the surfaces. There's no sun there, and when it's there, it's not the sun, it's the light source that shows you that everybody in that building is targeting me. From all opening hours from 10 a.m. until 9 p.m. I am the target inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. That's why they have a fake sun over me when I'm here. But when I'm not here, I'm showing you what is not any natural environment and what is remaining over me as I approach that venue. This is where the entity is stalking through the airport. This is where the entity is stalking through the police department. This is where the entity is stalking through the fire department as they're engaging in public corruption. The OVITT Family Community Library is a state facilitated venue, and the entity has the fakes and is also documented in the same manner over me at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. This is the P.O.C, and this is the same exact conduct at 10 o'clock when I'm walking into the entrance, and that agency is escorting via helicopter. This is the entity that doesn't mind being shut down as an airport. That's mental illness exhibited. That's Alaska Airlines that's going to be civilly and criminally prosecuted. And this is criminal monitoring in real time when you're exposing that, because at the same time, it's not also over the Fontana Lewis Library, where the city of Fontana is gang stalking just like the city of Ontario. Okay? Kurt Hagman, Ronald Leverage, Julia Gu, Alan D. Wapner, Jim Bowman. The domestic terrorists that are not a legitimate airport board are very much aware of the terrorism and ongoing stalking and the absurdly psychopathic means of using every single commercial airline, including Alaska Airlines, that is targeting me specifically under a fake sun, in concert with the demons of the Ontario Police Department that are engaging in what I'm monitoring now, proven what is under what is a fake sun. This is 11:17 a.m. The fake sun arriving, that is following me with the crime scene as I am going to a venue where that venue is proven to be targeting, which I've already been documenting. It is, again, 11:17 a.m. This is P.O.C. That's criminal summoning. The Ontario police are going to federal prison for all of the iterations of criminal summoning pursuant to kidnapping, harassment, terrorism, and monitoring my vagina like A. Casada and her two goofy goof troop demons that were gang stalking right here under the 12:13 p.m. fake sun with the Ontario Fire Department and AMR. This is P.O.C. (11:26 a.m.) That's the same agency stalking by helicopter that was doing so this morning at 2 o'clock in the morning with the people of the state at 537 North Euclid Avenue, and doing so last night at 537 North Euclid Avenue as I am publishing the people of the state gang stalking in Pomona, California, and Fontana, California, and on Ontario, California, and as I am in use of the Ontario Wi-Fi under the fake sun that followed from city to city this morning, and I'm back at the Ontario Town Square with the fake sun still over me. The Ontario Town Square that's on the same street where I captured the fake sunrise in alignment to me. That's where the Ontario police, engaged in criminal summoning on video, is at what is 11:26 a.m. stalking me in a helicopter. That's the criminal use of all the resources of a police department that's engaging in surveillance and domestic terrorism, not law enforcement. That's exactly why they're being disbanded, and that's why their co-defendants at the OVITT Family Community Library are going to federal prison. That includes Sean Thrasher, all right, who's going to prison for gang stalking me with that agency, and did so by kidnapping through malicious assertions, while they're all demons under a fake sun and engaging in what is gang stalking stalking, terrorism, and threatening conduct in a helicopter as I'm publishing the evidence about that agency, about the entity that is stalking in that same manner. It is the P.O.C. while the fake sun's over me and the entity flies over my head by helicopter. It's 11:27 a.m. This is P.O.C. It's pursuant to Title 18 federal stalking, where the city of Ontario is pacing around. Or where are these demons from? Yeah, these demons are from the city of Ontario, walking around in blue t-shirts stating staff. They're monitoring. They're puppets of Satan under the fake sun, and as they walk by, the entity sounds trained and a psychopath that finds it funny while she's a homosexual monitoring my vagina. That's what's funny. This is the entity engaged in that P.O.C. Those are demons. Those are the demons engaged in that pattern of conduct with what is the Ontario Police Department. They're engaged in criminal conduct, and I'm going to document their license plates as well. Getting into what is the City of Ontario vehicle, psychopaths that engage in stalking you, and then they're laughing at themselves when they're exposed, engaged in that pattern of conduct. And let me show you that. That's amplified audible activity. While they're gang stalking, that's relevant to her being mentally assessed as well. You're engaged in that pattern of conduct, you're laughing at your own mental illness, that's relevant to your examinations. That's the entity stalking with the Ontario Police Department. That's P.O.C. Okay, psychopaths that are engaging in what is monitoring your vagina, and they laugh at themselves while they're engaging in that. Say hi while she's engaged in federal stalking. That's P.O.C. There's nothing funny about her mental illness though, but she's very sick, okay, and that's why they're engaging in it. That's audible noise. That's license plate 1564880. Federal stalking by the City of Ontario. Demons with engineer light under a fake sun laughing at their own mental instability. That's P.O.C. Under the fake sun. That's the City of Ontario stalking by the police department, stalking by the airport, and stalking by the demons that are engaging in surveillance in the name of the City of Ontario at the Ontario Town Square, specifically stalking me. That's why the fake sun is over me, while an embarrassed homosexual female is exposed, engaging in that criminal conduct, and all that that demon can do is laugh, and she's laughing at herself. All right, because that is pathetic what the demon possessed are doing, and you're laughing at yourself, Satan. It is currently 11:29 a.m. That's the entity stalking by helicopter, and that's the entity walking all around under the fake sun around me, engaging in surveillance. All they're doing is pacing. P.O.C. That's, by the way, the entity that's going to be removed from position. That's Paul Leon's criminal conduct. He's responsible for the criminal conduct as a corrupt mayor in the same environment, by the way. While the fake sun's remaining over me in Fontana, there's no sun that's near or over or adjacent to or remaining all day long by the Ontario City Hall. Paul Leon's a demon. He's engaged in the same criminal conduct. That's why the municipality, that's why the police department, the fire department, the airport are engaging in that criminal pattern of conduct. P.O.C. It is 11:30 a.m. Alrighty, that's again the entity that's engaging what is the pattern of conduct with the gang stalking demons of the Ontario Police, and I'm hoping that they keep that same energy when they're in federal court and subject to prison. Laughing about that when you're going to prison for domestic terrorism, and they're doing so under what is the scientific evidence speaking to what is the proof of targeting, and demons like Jason Isaac Fields and Tracy Banks are going to federal prison as well. This is an entity that's engaging in what is criminal conduct for which there's not going to be any outdoor or backdoor or alley negotiation. You're not going to pay me outside of court that which I was entitled to years ago. You're not going to give me some lower amount of money when I'm entitled to that which you stole plus interest. You're not avoiding federal prison, and every criminal encounter that I have with you is a matter of public information and the ongoing investigation, and you're not going to simultaneously gang stalk me and then think that we're going to negotiate in the future because you're going to prison. Just want to be clear on that. The entity's engaged in this. It's 11:31 a.m. and the entity knows exactly what it is that I'm referring to, and it's going to be a part of your criminal prosecution, the malice with which you are still conspiring my murder, still engaging in psychological torture and obstruction of justice while you are being prosecuted. Okay, the entities engage in that, and I would be careful those who you endeavor to engage in criminal conduct with, because when they're maniacal psychopaths lacking any self-control and clearly have no strategy, they're reckless with regard to their criminal conduct, which everybody's going down for. You should be careful in the future. This is the entity that's engaged in that. It's 11:32 a.m. Gang stalking by the Ontario Police in helicopter is relevant to what I exposed as criminal summoning on Euclid Avenue under the fake sun that's over me, while the people of the state and the demons of that agency are engaged in monitoring me. And as I documented, the entity that's monitoring me does so by helicopter. That's the entity that's obsessed with me, that's going to be disbanded. Mike LORENZ is not a chief of police.
He's a puppet of Satan. He's a sex offender, and he is mentally incompetent, and he is laughing at his own mental illness. Understand that's a spirit that's laughing at that which is not funny, and it's concerning her own disease of mind and spirit. And while she's literally engaging in the criminal pattern of conduct, you're laughing at yourself. You're laughing at yourself because you're stalking me in a helicopter. You're extending all of those resources, all of your energy with regard to stalking and obsessively following me around, and you're laughing at yourself. It is currently 11:32 a.m., and that's the pitiful stance of the demon-possessed population, the Nephilim altogether, who are proven to be stalking one person because they are indeed obsessed. They're stalking with light right now under the fake sun. This is what I'm documenting at nightfall. They're stalking with light. This is P.O.C. It's 11:33 a.m. All right, I do want to document the technicality of what it is that the entity is very foolish. You're going to federal prison for what is not even a solution. But the entity is sounding helicopter activity in order to slow down the internet uploads. Okay, so again, a sane person would recognize that it's still uploading, albeit slower, and there's a maneuver to get around that as well. The entity engages in the federal offense of terrorism in a helicopter relevant to federal prison because they merely want to slow down a temporary and avoidable impediment to the use of my internet, the criminal monitoring, federal stalking, but it is very much temporary, and it is not stopping the evidence. That's the psychopath that's stalking in a helicopter. Those are the psychopaths that are pacing all around me wearing City of Ontario t-shirts, driving City of Ontario vehicles, engaging in what is harassment while they are obsessively stalking me. And that is embarrassing, and that's why Satan just laughs. But the substance is that Satan is laughing at himself, okay? Satan is using that overweight demon that's wearing the City of Ontario uniform, and she's embarrassed about what she's exposed as engaging, and that's why she's laughing. Just want to break that down psychologically. That's a psychopath. That's in denial. It is 11:35 a.m. The entity's engaging what is slowing down the internet. That's practically behind stalking with a helicopter, doing so in the most threatening manner as you're prosecuting it. But this is, again, getting to the entity. This is very unfortunate, but it's providence because obviously they need to go to prison. But when you're looking at the lack of intelligence there, the presence of absolute fear, they're very fearful of what it is that I'm publishing. But at the same time, you're going to prison for this, and all you're doing is slowing down the internet right now because all I have to do is clear off the same history, and it's going on, and it's going up under all circumstances going on the internet. So what is it? This is the entity. This is the Nephilim. These are the demons. They don't know what to do other than what they've always been doing. And this is the entity that's going to pursuant to its own cycle of death. And they are engaging in conduct that is inevitable with regard to its own demise. Psychopaths are stalking and pacing in helicopters. Psychopaths are stalking in helicopters. Psychopaths are dressing up like police officers when all they are stalkers. The entity that's calling itself the Ontario Police Department is going to be subject to mental examinations and a federal prosecution, which is mandated federal prison for stalking in helicopters, for stalking by representing that agency, meaning you're in a police vehicle, you're wearing that uniform, you're bearing those weapons, you're exercising that fictitious authority, you're going to prison for that. It's terrorism in the United States. It's 11:36 a.m. I just want to break that down. They're engaged in federal stalking, and it's pathetic because I'm going to clear out the history right now. I'm going to upload it again, and it's going on the internet still under all circumstances. And that's proving that the demon in the police vehicle was stalking. That's proving that the demons are kidnapping with that agency at the OVITT Family Community Library. This is federal prison that we're talking about. What's A. Casada doing under the 12:13 p.m. fake sun that's still here over me at the same that's prison that you're talking about. What are the demons doing? The group of demons that are covering up the fake sun at 4:57 in the afternoon at this same venue. And all I had to do was pull up what was happening days before, September 29th at the same time. The fake sun is shining in all of its brilliance. You're still gang stalking. That's prison. What is it that you're gaining? These are demons that are not under any circumstances intellectually applying themselves to what they're doing. They're being demons and failing and acting like they're not. Laughing is audible activity. And by the way, Satan, this gay female that's obsessed with my vagina, you're laughing at yourself. And everybody else, by the way, is laughing at you. That's what's really happening. I'm not the one spending thousands of dollars to follow me around. That's you. And you are, in fact, doing that. Nobody's imagining anything. And it's going on the internet. What is it that you're gaining other than time in prison? Because that is exactly where you're going. Federal law requires justice, requires it. These demons are going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. This is P.O.C. Everything that I documented today throughout the city, what Montclair is doing, Ontario police are going to federal prison. The correctional facilities that went to the Montclair Transit Center under the fake sun, the Ontario police are gang stalking by that evidence under a fake sun. You're going to federal prison. The entity that's stalking me by planes in the city of Pomona and in the city of Montclair, the Ontario Police Department, they're going to federal prison. The demons that are pacing around while the entity flies over me by helicopter pursuant to a pattern when I begin documentation, when I begin uploading, the Ontario police are going to federal prison. All right, it is all routes to federal prison for the demons under the corrupt leadership of Mike LORENZ, who is the Nephilim, who's going to be removed from position, and so is this demon calling himself a mayor, Paulion. P.O.C. They're not doing anything. They're pacing all around sounding sirens. Those are demons that are monitoring. It's criminal summoning. The fake sun is over the top of my head. This is the city full of demons that are being prosecuted all together. Criminal summoning while the people of the state are demons, cockroaches pacing while the fake sun's over me at the OVITT Family Community Library. They're engaging in monitoring together. What the entity is going to suffer the consequences for is that terrorism is not tolerated in the United States. And because you're scared to death about what you've never been caught for or answering for, the solution is not more terrorism. And because of the entity engaging in this, that's why you're going to federal prison. And by you, I mean you of the Ontario Police Department, and that includes Mike LORENZ. You've been witnessing a public prosecution of Mike LORENZ. You're talking about a domestic terrorist leader, just like Osama bin Laden. Not different. This is a domestic terrorist leading a bunch of little puppets, little terrorists of the Ontario Police Department. It's a terrorist agency. That's not law enforcement. So this is not, again, under any circumstance suggesting that Mike LORENZ isn't about to be federally prosecuted or is exempt from federal prison. It is the exact opposite of that. This is a documentation to prosecute the entire state of California, the U.S. government, and the entities engaging in what is terrorism because now you're fearful. So out of fear, you engage in more terrorism. That's the tactic that Jason Isaac Fields engaged in. That's not going to be, you're not going to cause American citizens to suffer because you are a coward and you can't deal with the consequences of your criminal conduct. That's the type of tactics that murderers engage in. They killed someone, and so they'll engage in killing everybody that they need to in order to make sure that nobody is a witness, nobody tells on them. That's what's gang stalking, and still gang stalking while they're fearful and failing because it's going on the internet while you're monitoring using a helicopter. And you are also practically stalking me using a helicopter, and you are engaging in that with knowledge that I'm documenting you. That's threatening me while you're stalking me as a police department. You're going to prison for domestic terrorism. And you fully incriminate everybody else that I've already documented, gang stalking right along with you, keeping me under surveillance, and my evidence about you under surveillance. You're going to prison. It is 11:42 a.m. P.O.C. All right, stalking. They're maintaining surveillance while I'm uploading all the evidence online. License plate 9GHE038. License plate 9ENE396, 9ENE936, excuse me, surveillance, a Latino male, heavy tattoos on the right arm, driving the vehicle, license plate. They're all stalking with the same police department flying over my head in the city of Ontario, doing laps at the Ontario Town Square in order to keep me under surveillance. That's what the city of Ontario is consumed with. 9CRU784 with minor children, 8XGN592. License, 9ENE936, pacing around the C Street turn circle. Remember, it's giving you context. The fake sun is here while I am already inside of the library, but that's not what happened. I went through the city of Ontario to Chino, to Montclair, to Upland, and then back down on the same Route 83 on the same street where the fake sun was rising. These are demons engaging in surveillance, 6YYN662, and that includes the demons that are flying a whole helicopter that's associated with what's supposed to be the legitimate law enforcement purposes of a police department, and they're being stripped. They're being removed altogether for what is criminal surveillance, and then have the audacity to engage in more terrorism because they're scared about going to prison and being on all fours where cowards like them belong. Because that's what they belong in that position, because that's what's happening. You're going to prison. It's currently 11:45 a.m. This is P.O.C. This is surveillance at the Ontario Town Square. License plate. Ontario Downtown Luxury Apartments, they're gang stalking. The 280 North Limit Apartments, they're gang stalking. 9 RTA 789, that's a license plate. Wells Fargo, you're not going to avoid a prosecution. The entity is parking on that property to stalk me in the path and then going to the ATM. That's not a diversion. That's not some, oh, I have a legitimate, no, you don't. You're doing so under the fake sun where these demons thought that they were slick. They thought that they were clever, and they thought that it would be legally relevant. No, it's an admission, a record proving that you're stalking, engaging in surveillance with that government that's requiring the population to remain around you in order to keep you under surveillance. That's why the police aren't working at the bank and working and maintaining and living in every apartment at the downtown luxury apartments and maintaining presence and living inside of the 280. The police can't do that. 9GYV612, nor can they gang stalk you by themselves. They can't. That's why the fake sun remains over me while I'm on the bus of Omnitrans, every route, regardless of what direction, all day as I'm documenting, and the gang stalking law enforcement agencies are sharing in surveillance, 6WEE654, through the entity that's stalking together. And they're all engaging in surveillance together. That's the P.O.C. This is the city of Ontario. That's the city of Fontana, the city of Pomona, the city of Upland, the city of Chino. That's engaging in what is the state of California's pattern. This is the United States government that's engaging in criminal surveillance, and they're demons doing so. 9STK029. All right, these are homosexual females obsessed with my vagina. This is the reality of the Nephilim. And they're very much embarrassed and ashamed, and that's why they do things, which is to speak into the sickness that they're aware of, the consciousness, the shameful conduct that they're engaging in, and I'm openly exposing. That's why you're laughing at yourself, because you're definitely not laughing at me. I'm exposing you and letting you know you are a lesbian. Does everybody else in the world know that? That you're gay? That you're obsessed with my vagina? That you're stalking me? Because that's what you're doing. And it's also a matter of information. Everybody else is now watching you do that. It's not a secret. Neither is any of this evidence. So they're also looking at your behavior, and everybody else is learning how to analyze that as well. So you're the stalker, you're the sex offender, you're the obsessed demon, and you're laughing at yourself. And there's nothing funny about it either. Nothing. All right, this is P.O.C. Indeed, every license plate that I'm documenting, every apartment complex, gang stalking. P.O.C. All right, I went directly into video. The people of the state are indeed engaging in surveillance with the entity, the demon-possessed entity that's using and abusing what is the resources of a law enforcement agency that's actually a domestic terrorist engaging in gang stalking, criminal surveillance. That's the Ontario Police, who are for the fourth time flying over the top of my head at the Ontario Town Square, where I'm located at that square, where the fake sun is over me at the square, after I went through city to city, county to county. You're recognizing the pattern. As I'm documenting the city of Pomona, this is exactly what the Ontario Police Department are engaging in, stalking and terrorism by helicopter. As I'm documenting the entity uploading the evidence about the pattern of conduct, this is the entity that's engaging in surveillance, and these are demons that are inevitably being exposed. This is how I have 7 years of documentation. Nonetheless, this is the ongoing chaos, harassment, terrorism, sexual violence that the entity is engaging in. At nightfall, what are they doing? Molesting with impossible light. They're molesting with impossible light now because that's not even the sun that's over my head. While that police department that's engaging in surveillance on the internet, they're doing so, want to be clear, pursuant to state surveillance. The language, as the federal stalking statute exists, states that the consequences for federal stalking is basically contingent upon the circumstances. And where the government is engaging in surveillance through a population, doing so in furtherance of murder, doing so in an unprecedented manner, such as through the satanic methods that 9LNV242 is engaging in, under a fake sun, stalking me with impossible light, sharing in that criminal conduct and terrorizing conduct, using helicopters and fire trucks and police vehicles, bearing weapons in doing so, stalking you in demonic methods with noise and light while they're monitoring, you're going to federal prison for that. And the circumstances, the language as the federal stalking statute, it currently exists, is what is supporting that. These are the most extreme, never before contemplated circumstances that are mandating prison because it's statewide surveillance. It's not just like ongoing surveillance by a police department that's keeping an apartment building under surveillance and they're violating their constitutional rights in doing so, and then you're going to deal with that. You're going to have a lawsuit against that local police. No, this is a statewide pattern of conduct. License 9 TES 985. This is an Asian female engaging in what is gang stalking, criminal monitoring under the fake sun, dropping off the aged gang stalking demons at the 280 North Limit Apartments under the fake sun is P.O.C. They do the same thing when the demons come and pick them up in a van every day. They do the same thing when Suppose You Drive comes and delivers refrigerators. They're doing the same thing when Leonida Builders LLC or INC are drilling in the sidewalk, and the entities maintaining those same methods of light activity, and they're doing so while they're monitoring on the venue of the internet. And you also know this as a matter of what is common sense and recognizing the pattern of conduct. The Ontario Police Department just flew over my head for the 4th time. Everybody's sharing in that criminal pattern of conduct. And you're not doing anything other than criminal surveillance when a fake sun is over me while you're dropping off your old lady. P.O.C. It is currently 11:55 a.m. That's the Ontario International Airport. Again, Julia Gu, Kurt Hagman, Jim Bowman, Ronald Loveridge, Alan D. Wapner. These are terrorists that are going to prison for kidnapping with the agency that's flying over my head for the 4th time, because they're doing the same thing, terrorizing me while I document the Ontario board and the Ontario executive team. That's federal prison. All right, the entities engaging in this conduct because the evidence is going up on the internet, and the entities engaging in what is monitoring the amplified plane activity while you're crossing path above, flying higher than the fake sun is hanging over me at the Ontario Town Square. License 4VQZ248, demon. License. Demons, these are right here. License plate. With the plane, license 9SPR320, license 9TES985 with the plane. This is what they're doing with the Ontario Police that's engaging in the pattern of conduct. License 7BJF848, stalking, monitoring on the internet as a population. And the pattern of conduct is ceaseless as I go into the city of Chino, to Montclair, to Upland, to Pomona, to Fontana. My documentation shows far beyond that. Far beyond that. This is P.O.C. This is terrorism by the Ontario International Airport. That's, again, relevant to shutting down that airport. That's a threat to national security. Engaging in what is murdering American citizens while they're engaging in gang stalking further into murder. Understanding this is speaking to the propensity, which is exactly what's happening. These are not accidents and tragedies in these commercial planes and these airlines when they're flying into helicopters, okay? They're engaging in very detailed, diligent stalking as demons that know when your big toe is moving inside of your shoe. And they're engaging in what is conduct when you're looking at the helicopter and you didn't see it coming. They're engaging in committing murders, and then they're discussed in congressional hearings as though they're accidents, fatal accidents. Those are sacrifices. These are demons, and the Ontario International Airport is a threat to the national security, especially while I'm exposing it, and then you're threatening me, stalking me in helicopters like you're going to start shooting and dropping bombs at me, which is what which is what they're doing on a daily basis. A daily basis. And this is all going back to the entity that the Ontario Police Department has stolen my money. The Ontario Police Department has been directly engaged in what is criminally defaming my character while they are on the record targeting me. Proof. So you're going to juxtapose the evidence of them stalking me in the unheard of methods like using helicopters and criminal summoning, very malicious, while at the same time they're the same agency that is, again, abusing their position and assuming that it's not going to be questioned. That's the P.O.C. The corruption of the entity that targets American citizens under laws that they don't have authority under, and also at the same time establishing that I am mentally ill in one way or another when they've been engaged in targeting me the entire time. All right, so that's what the juxtaposition of that conduct. That's relevant to the entity that's kidnapping with Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields and Securitas at this Ontario Town Square. He's engaged in criminal summoning, and Vivanco is a demon-possessed gang stalker. Okay, he's engaged in criminal. So Securitas, this little chubby demon that's engaged in gang stalking under the fake sun, he's here at work under the fake sun at 7 in the morning. And he's here gang stalking with that same agency at 11:58 in the morning. That's not the natural environment, and he's targeting while he's engaging in what is also malicious assertions. There was no harassment on September 28, 2025. Not by me. I'm subject to harassment, which is what I'm documenting now, which is what Securitas is engaging in. And that's relevant to federal prison, while that agency is, again, incriminating its own co-defendants, because that's what Securitas's gang stalking employee is at this park. Okay, this fruit basket's engaged in multiple acts of criminal summoning, and he's going to federal prison. While he's engaged in monitoring, and the entity supposes that you could be kidnapped, and then that'll just stop it, and that makes the demons feel better when they're laughing at their own mental illness and when they're engaged in kidnapping, and the reality is they're all going to prison. And they should keep those high spirits, because you're going to need it when you're locked up. You're going to need it. And you are getting locked up. This is the entity that's engaging in this conduct, and it's directly relevant to the greater picture, the bigger picture. Those demons are just thinking about right now. Okay, so there's 315 items that are uploading, and the entity's obsessively trying to slow that down while it's going on the internet. And it's proving that everyone else that's targeting with the Ontario Police are indeed targeting, while they're doing so as demons, all under the fake sun, stalking me, monitoring me, obsessing over me, targeting me. And they're doing so while there's that bigger picture, that greater pattern of conduct that's underway, while they are together engaging in what is a system designed to target, including when they commit kidnappings and engage in criminal summoning and criminal defamation. All right, that's what you're paying attention to, and you're also paying attention to that pattern as I document the demons in adjacent cities. And there's no sun that's in Pomona, California at all today when I went on Route 83 to Route 84 to Route 66 to Route 83 back to the city. But there's no sun in Pomona, California at 7:49 in the morning. When I'm in when I'm on Route 83 in Ontario, going south on Euclid Avenue, there's no sun in Pomona, California at the Pomona Regional Transit Center. And there's also no sun that's going to be over the same Ontario Town Square that it is in the morning when at 7:49 Alaska Airlines, the entire Ontario International Airport, is gang stalking me at this same address where that police department, that's not a real police department, that's the Nephilim, are stalking in a helicopter. Because they're scared to death about the evidence going up. But this is, again, that mental illness is very much a problem, and it's serving for what is them convicting themselves. They're doing the work for me and proving themselves that they're targeting me, because being scared and engaging in more terrorism is not the response when you are a defendant in an impending prosecution. Okay, but like I said, this is the entity that's engaging in that, and clearly they have fuel to waste. Clearly they have time to spend in prison. Clearly they don't have anybody that cares about them not being locked up, because that's exactly what's happening. It's not going to remain a mystery or secret who is the name of the demon that's stalking in a helicopter. My documentation is requiring the date and time, the operation of the heliport. You're going to produce this information because those persons are going to prison. The entity that's engaged in criminal summoning, those that are stalking into the fake sun, you're going to federal prison. And the people of the state that are gang stalking with you are going to federal prison. This is how terrorism is underway. This is how the entity accomplishes murdering American citizens. This is how they accomplish bearing false witness to kidnap American citizens. This is how they accomplish stealing from American citizens by defaming their character, when they are the psychopaths. Stalking obsessively, proving that they're stalking. Remember, they're supposed to be acting like they're not, and that the targeted individual is making it up. So you're obviously engaging in stalking and targeting. It's very obvious. And why? Because you want to slow down the uploads of it's going on the internet anyway. That's the entity that's delusional. That's literally mental illness in your face. Okay? Fourth time flying over my head. Interested in slowing down uploads on the internet. Guess what the key word is? Uploads. They are still uploading. It's still going online. A maniacal psychopath is not engaged in any sort of intellectual exercise whatsoever. This is maniacal conduct. Okay? This is mental illness, literally. And it's also a sex offender. That's what they're doing concerning my vagina. That's why Mike LORENZ is being publicly removed. And Mayor Paul Leon is being publicly removed, because my vagina is a substance of their criminal surveillance. And that is entirely illegitimate and perverted and psychotic. It is 12:03 p.m. All right. And the name of that sex offender stalking in that helicopter is also going to be a matter of public information regarding a prosecution for terrorism in the United States, as it is necessary to be understood regarding how terrorism is underway, so that American citizens are not ignorant about what the United States government is doing throughout this country. And why? How do you know that? Because the sun that's in Kansas right now, that's in Texas, is not the one that's hanging over me at the Ontario Town Square, where the Ontario police are flying back and forth over the top of my head, mad because I'm uploading evidence which is going on the internet. Okay, they do the same thing. This is what Fontana is doing. This is what they're all with. These are demons are engaging in a cycle, and these are demons that do not have any sort of self-restraint. Those are demons that commit murder while they're angry in the moment. That's the type of mind you're dealing with. And then after the fact, they don't think about it beforehand. They commit murder, they harm people, they hurt people in the moment. And then the entity is finding ways to explain it away, finding ways to legitimize it, to make it appropriate, to avoid the consequences for it. And none of that's happening. You're going to prison. But that's, again, providence, because it's providing me evidence while demons are walking around with toddlers, gang stalking. That's the entity. That's literally a disturbing image while the demon-possessed are engaging in that. Very disturbing image. That's the reality of the puppets of Satan that are engaging in that P.O.C. This little prepubescent demon with acne on his face is pacing in front of me under the fake sun. It's 12:04 p.m. It's the same 224 North Euclid Avenue. This is P.O.C. The demons are coming in, playing with their kids at the Ontario Town Square. You're remembering this lesbian that's gang stalking with the city of Ontario, laughing about this criminal conduct that she's engaging in. She's a lesbian. Okay, now I find that funny that you can't even be real with your identity while you're laughing at yourself because you're embarrassed as I speak the truth about your obsession with my vagina. Okay, you're a predator. There's nothing funny about being a sex offender because that's what she is. That's what she is. And so is the predator walking with her. And they're wearing City of Ontario t-shirts, stalking with the whole police department. The entire city is obsessively stalking me. Obsessively. It is 12:05 p.m. This is, again, a failed endeavor, under no circumstances avoiding exposure. It's under all circumstances proving what it is that's underway in every adjacent city, proving what's underway throughout the state of California and in this country, while they keep a fake sun over me in Southern California as I go from place to place to place from the beginning until the end of the day, including while they cover it up. Okay, like they try to do when I went to Pomona, like they try to do when they engage in criminal summoning at this same address at 4:57 in the evening. And you already know that fake sun is there because these are, again, short-sighted, forgetful, obsessed, and intellectually incompetent demons. They're not intelligent. They're dummies. These are dead spirits. They're demons. That's a dead spirit stalking me in a helicopter. And that person that's being occupied by a dead spirit, that demon's going to prison. As are all of them that are stalking in helicopters. This is not Afghanistan. And since you want to terrorize American citizens like it is, you're getting locked up like any other foreign terrorist. You're getting locked up. It is currently 12:06 p.m. and you're getting locked up while you are incentivizing this terrorism like Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields is. This is exactly what they were banking on with regard to stealing my money and property and my identity and intellectual property. 2480753. And gang stalking immigrants are subject to deportation because the entire population in the state of California is engaged in criminal surveillance, which is domestic terrorism. The immigrants in California don't have a right to stay in this country. They don't have a right to be in this country. And it's a basis for deportation of every single last one of them. That's the implications regarding exposing this criminal system underway by the government in concert with the people of the state. And the impunity that you see the entity exhibiting now, that's the same impunity and disdain for this country that the immigrants hold, including while they want to be a part of fire departments and the gang stalking fire departments, the gang stalking police departments, the gang stalking municipalities, the gang stalking school districts that want to do as much harm as they can while they're engaged in those sort of industries and areas of professional industries while they're engaging in what is doing harm. That's why they want to be, that's what they're doing while they're in those positions. This is literally exposing those that hate this country. But nonetheless, all the immigrants are subject to deportation. They're engaged in terrorism, just so that you know, and they do so with impunity. They have no regard for the American flag, for the American way, for the Constitution. Neither does the government that's gang stalking with them. But the immigrants don't. But under all circumstances, regardless, they can claim, oh my goodness, I love this country. It doesn't matter. You're going to be deported subject to what is terrorism that the state of California is engaging in. Your residency, your presence here is not a right, it's a privilege. And you're subject to deportation based on the criminal conduct of the government. In case you didn't know that, because that's what's happening. It is currently 12:08 p.m. This is P.O.C. All right, this is Stalking, and that's Southwest Airlines in particular, stalking under the fake sun. This is the fake sun that is, again, following as I'm going back to the same entrance that I did on video when I was arriving. This is stalking as well, license plate. And the people of the state are stalking at the entrance, license 6XTL766, That's audible noise while the fake sun remains over me. This is, as you can hear, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, where the same Ontario Town Square, where Southwest Airlines in particular, as well as the entire international airport altogether, is targeting. No pilot is taking off from 2500 Airport Drive, any of the terminals, flying miles away and then hovering over the Ontario Town Square. That's a part of the prosecution of the removal of the terrorists, the Ontario International Airport. Ronald Loveridge, Julia Gu, you have Kurt Hagman and Jim Bowman and Alan D. Wapner, who are terrorists who are going to be federally prosecuted for domestic terrorism, that they are facilitating with the people of the state engaging in surveillance on communication devices while I'm being targeted, clearly targeted by the city of Ontario, the state of California, that is doing the same thing with the Ontario Police Department, and they're doing so at the OVITT Family Community Library, where this population is keeping my vagina under surveillance on behalf of that city of Ontario, maintaining aerial surveillance over me, and doing so as I am showing you the fake sun that's over me at this same entrance at 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm making the same exact walk to the 280 Northland Apartments and to that entrance where I am clearly being targeted, and this is also evidence of targeting while I'm at the same time at the Fontana Lewis Library, where the entity is keeping a fake sign over the Fontana Lewis Library in Fontana, California at 8437 Sierra Avenue. That's identifying a demon and a stalker. License 8LZF141. And the Gang Stalking Airport Board is going to be removed from position for the criminal facilitation that they provide while demons are engaging in surveillance. And this is a demon that's engaging in what is impunity, putting on her hazards. This is a demon that's engaging in criminal conduct and terrorism that is sponsored by the state. That's relevant to the mental illness of those. And the mental illness is shared by those on the airport board and the Ontario executive team. These are enemies of the United States, and they're going to be prosecuted and removed from the positions that they hold. In the same way that they're gang stalking, they committed kidnapping with this same entity, this entity that's engaging in what is malicious and ongoing deliberate monitoring, putting on her hazards while she's engaging in documented criminal conduct, which this demon is aware of. Doing so, also engaging in criminal summoning at the OVITT Family Community Library. This is the entity that's engaging in that together, cyclically maintaining presence in the path as a system of surveillance is underway, and the entity then engages in terrorizing me by helicopter when I document these demons. This is P.O.C. That's a minor child that's engaging in criminal conduct, and then they go into the library, and this homosexual, they're the type that are going in the women's restroom to monitor my vagina, where the entity is maintaining ongoing aerial surveillance pursuant to that unlawful and illegitimate interest regarding what's between my legs, while sex offenders are gang stalking. Okay, this is light activity by demons that are walking under a fake sun, and this is how you're engaging in gang stalking as a matter of public corruption. And these demons are doing so under the age of majority. I just want to be, it's a demon possessed population. This is speaking to how imperative it is that the Ontario board be removed, the Ontario executive team. You're talking about federal prison for the repeated acts of kidnapping upon terrorism that they are sponsoring with a corrupt population. 8YVD 613. Putting on the turn signals is light activity. Driving under the fake sun is light activity. And when they're driving, stalking me, Impossible Light is inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. They're also monitoring my vagina together as an entity, keeping me under surveillance, tracking my steps inside of that venue. That's 215 East C Street. This is P.O.C. It is 1:03 p.m. It is currently, 1:11 p.m. And this is a demon sitting at the desk area as an employee and is engaged in gang stalking. The entity is maintaining impossible light activity, flashing through on the walls inside of the library. And the demons that you see crossing path, including under the age of majority, doing so under the fake sun, engaging in criminal activity with the United States government that's engaged in systematically contributing to the delinquency of minors, by the way, while maintaining a criminal justice system at the same time that deals with such complicated legal issues regarding not only criminal conduct, but criminal conduct that is committed, that is facilitating minors to participate in it. And the government's engaging in that while they're gang stalking as a so-called family community library. And this employee is under the fake sun and an engineer light, terrorizing, psychologically torturing, sexually violating with the same demons that are under the fake sun gang stalking with Southwest Airlines as I walk in. And what I mean is literally what I stated, that the demon-possessed females engaged, these homosexuals, these lesbians that are monitoring my vagina, that demon walks right into the bathroom to engage in exactly what it is that I stated that they do. And this is what demons do, for example, turning on their hazards while they're driving down the street, while they're aware that they're being documented. This is the mental illness of the psychopaths who are obsessed with my genitalia, and they are engaging in what is ongoing criminal conduct in the name of the state. And they are doing so as the psychopaths, as their behavioral health issue is at the forefront of the criminal prosecution. She is the demon that is stalking in the path in the bathroom, and she is gang stalking with the employee who is sitting at a desk while impossible light activities flashing all about inside of the library, which is speaking to that which is intentional, that which is deliberate, and that which you are not ignorant about, where, especially where it is a pattern of conduct and it is your mental health, your mental illness that is being proven even while you feign ignorance, and it is unreasonable to feign ignorance when you have this documented pattern of conduct in every city and every county specific to the entity that is stalking by the government, and doing so at facilitating venues like the OVITT Family Community Library. That's psychopathic, while the entity engages in the P.O.C. and then feigning to be a population of strangers. Walking around in the book stacks with a communication device is stalking in a library. With the demons that are stalking by planes and helicopters, and they're all together monitoring my vagina. Okay, documenting their license plates under a fake sun is where the Ontario police are inside of the library, vicariously keeping me under surveillance, including the demon whose face, the sex offenders whose face you see. Monitoring, she goes right into the bathroom stall, waiting for me to disrobe, waiting for me to be in that private space so that that demon can be on behalf of an entity as close to me as possible while I'm nude, while I'm engaged in private activity. That's a sex offender using the resources of a whole police department, for example, to keep me and my vagina under surveillance. Okay, and that's what you'll see in the images. It's the same sex offender, and I'll go ahead and capture that in screenshots because it is indeed a demon. It is indeed a lesbian, a sex offender, a predator. Okay, I'm not saying that a lesbian is synonymous with predator. I'm stating that this is a predator that is engaged in homosexual violence. This is a woman that's engaged in sexually violating another woman and obsessed with another woman's vagina. That's what she's doing, and she goes right into the bathroom stall to commit that sex offense as an entity, and doing so under the fake sun with the demons that are employed engaging in that ongoing terrorism, while they have also committed what are kidnappings, because that's exactly what it is when the P.O.C. is underway. And this is, again, all evidence that's speaking to inevitable prison for the demons that have engaged in the documented acts of criminal summoning and kidnapping that's resulted. It is 1:15 p.m. This is P.O.C. Okay, that's audible activity by the midget minion. You see gang stalking, doing so while the shadow of the chair is like perpendicular to each other. You can see my 3 shadows of my hand as I raise it up over the desk. These are the demons under the fake sun at the OVITT Family Community Library, sitting around stalking with noise. This is mental illness that is no longer closeted, while the demon-possessed the Nephilim engage in obsessive and psychopathic methods of surveillance, like stalking in a bathroom, stalking at a McDonald's, stalking via a drive-thru, stalking on the freeway as a population, stalking as a whole police department using helicopters in the vehicles, even the headquarters, the police station itself, stalking at the stalking on public transportation while you're on the bus, getting on and off the bus is the pattern of conduct. These are demons sitting around monitoring, okay? You have to follow me everywhere around to maintain presence and noise, and while you are stalking as a demon-possessed entity, engaging what is also monitoring on my device. This is evidence that it's 2:04 p.m., so what you'll see in the images is, first of all, stalking, no warrant, no probable cause, including the employees. They're engaged in gang stalking, and they're engaging in this on behalf of the state that is also not helping them, because the state's stalking me in planes and helicopters, okay? Doing so while then that same state enters in vicariously to keep me surrounded, and a psychopath that just maintains like noise like this, and engineer light, which is how you're monitoring what I'm doing on my phone. And so what I want to document is what I've already shown. They're all monitoring on the internet. And to create a Google account, you don't have to add any phone number. So this is what is a means of obstruction of justice, and they're all sitting around being psychopaths, monitoring my vagina. It's already documented. And they're also monitoring on the internet with the intent to obstruct justice online. Stopping to create a Google Drive is a means of trying to impede on an ongoing investigation where I am using these means to publish the evidence on the internet, to prosecute, which is going to be conducted public, nationwide, okay? So the entity is engaging in this conduct, and my documenting what is a request for a phone number. That is the entity that's monitoring on my device. They're sitting around engaging in what is psychopathic behavior, which is relevant to the psychological torture that they are committing on behalf of the government. They're acting as one, engaging in monitoring on my cell phone, engaging what is invading my privacy on my cell phone, the passwords to my Google Drive. This is also at the same time the entity that's being prosecuted for terrorism, and they're interfering with that, having access to that information, which is also going to be used to prosecute. This is all getting to the entity that has no business engaging with a surveillance in the first place, and then you're doing so as a cockroach infestation of demons that are stalking me and monitoring my vagina at that. All right, this is the significance of the OVITT Family Community Library being filled with bodies that are demon possessed, that are gang stalking. And this is 2:06 p.m. The requirement which I captured on my device is the evidence of the monitoring. To create a Google Drive account, you don't have to provide a phone number. And after I create this, because I've already cleared out all the entities monitoring our devices, so when you create history, websites, and downloaded documents. This is all relevant to the entity engaging what is monitoring online, monitoring with regard to stopping you or blocking you from that which you have already accessed. So I have cleared out my cookies more times over since the last time I created a drive, right? So this is why I'm being given this is evidence of monitoring, because you don't have to create or give a phone number. Number one, it is P.O.C. But number two, the reason why it's working is because it's the first time since I've cleared out my phone. After I enter this phone number, then it's going to create the blockage, which is also evidence of monitoring, because you don't have to add a phone number to create a Google Drive. And you also then are not going to be blocked by adding a phone number that's been used too many times. That's the entity that's engaged in what is blocking my access to create a Google Drive. That's the entity that's stalking me by helicopter and engaging in kidnapping me and making up information with the demons that are obsessively stalking inside of the OVITT Family Community Library and sharing in what is an inhumane level of sexual violence altogether, keeping my vagina under surveillance. And they're doing so while they are then engaging in an ongoing desperate campaign to interfere with all that evidence being uploaded on the internet. Still stalking every step of the way. Just want to document that screenshot is significant to Title 18 federal stalking. This is P.O.C. It's 2:07 p.m.
License plate 7XAF502. License plate 7ZXK847. License plate 2NWV21. That's a Massachusetts license plate. License 8FFR203. License plate 5PLB570 90120A1 6549M2. Oh, hold on. 65469M2. And a license plate. I'm going to get these cowards' license plate, try to lift up their trunk. I'm going to get their license plate. License 8FLS252, 8SNS241, 8FZP356, 6HXR343, DRSALTY. License plate 7PMB875. License plate 9DFV522. License 7GKC474. And 9KNT501. In case I didn't read that one already. Stalking with minor children, 8KIV488. That's amplified audible activity. It's not a train. Union Pacific is not creating a public nuisance throughout the entirety of the city. That's the entity that's maintaining noise while a car full of demons, while in custody of minor children who are sharing in terrorism and furtherance of murder, are engaging in that citywide, statewide criminal pattern of conduct. And they're pacing in and out of the garage of the downtown luxury Ontario apartments. License plate 9CDP180, 6POB912. Impossible light, while demon license, let's see, 9UBT484 and 9DKA030.
Impossible light activities inside of the parking garage, just like you see inside of the Fontana Lewis Library yesterday evening, where the sun will not be in perfect alignment with that second floor window of the library after 5 p.m., while this demon is engaged in what is stalking me in the path pursuant to a population's pattern of conduct of targeting. An impossible light that's flying on the ceiling inside of that Fontana Lewis Library in the city of Fontana is the same pattern of light activity that's inside of this venue as I walk in, and the entity is maintaining amplified train noise. That's monitoring, and also on his device. License 9HOS644, 9HAK174, DC22Z78, 9LOZ424, 9MJV650. The parking garage, the Tesla Charge Center at the downtown luxury apartments is at the crime scene where demons are pacing in and out, and they're doing this 24 hours a day, monitoring me while I'm at the 415 North Euclid Avenue, monitoring me while I'm at the 537 North Euclid Avenue in concert with the airport that flies over this apartment building, while these demons are stalking with impossible light. Both during the day inside of the parking garage, literally is also filling engineer light. I have that on video as well. These are demons, and they are gang stalking, including the apartment complex, which is Saris Regis. License plate. Let me get this easy. License plate. License 9PSF9FL 9KDW190 6ZWL544 6BNU400. P.O.C. Downtown luxury apartments, Saris Regis. That's engaging in that pattern of conduct, monitoring my vagina. Saris Regis is a sex offender. Saris Regis Group is headquartered in, I believe it is Orange County. 9GXW027. Stalking, monitoring, while impossible light is swimming inside of the parking garage. All right, those are demons, as you can identify them instantly, and they're also criminals. You can identify that instantly as well. 9GON412. And these demons' license plate. While the demonic makes it convenient for gang stalkers to monitor you. License plate 9ANS602. P.O.C. License 7WNC589. 9JWL226. 9SOZ234. Again, sharing in the sex offense, I'm showing you the demons that are engaging in surveillance via the bathrooms, also stalking me inside of the bathrooms while I am in that private space, and they're engaging in what is doing so with demons that are maintaining presence and light activity all around the OVITT Family Community Library under the fake sun that's there upon my exit at 4 p.m. Remember, the entity has a fake sun east of the city of Ontario in Fontana, outside of that window of Sierra and Spring Street, where there's no sun that would be in perfect alignment with the entrance, still here at Ontario Town Square, where Southwest Airlines is gang stalking as a matter of record in an impossible and irreconcilable environment. Nonetheless, the demons of the Ontario board and the executive team are engaged in, already surrounded with evidence, which is proving and requiring, necessitating a civil and criminal prosecution for unprecedented acts of terrorism in the abuse and use of an airport to commit those un-American criminal offenses as they're documented. And every airline is also going to be prosecuted as a sex offender as well. You'll see this reflected in the images that are captured. The airlines are sex offenders. These are businesses treated as persons under the law. Those persons are engaged in terrorism. Those persons are making money while they're engaging in terrorism. Those persons are engaged in stalking. They're doing so maliciously with the government, in the shoes of the government, in order that the government can get away with it. The entity is doing so with knowledge of the fact that it's being documented in real time. That's relevant to the entity doing so as I document. That's what the entity is doing by helicopter as I document. That's what demons are doing with impossible light activity as I document. That's what demons are doing under a fake sun. License plate. This is an Asian female. Deportation may very well apply. 9BQB520. All right, gang stalking with impossible light across Wells Fargo while you're driving on the street. Regardless of the fact that it's a fake sun, the fake sun's in the same position it was this morning, by the way. Excuse me, yesterday morning when I am walking, and it was this morning as well. During the 11 a.m. hour, it was in the same position. Ontario police monitoring with everybody's license plate that I just read. They're crossing path on the same Lemon Avenue where I'm showing you, reading all those license plates, and the fake sun is over there. I took pictures of that. That's the Ontario Police that's engaged in gang stalking through any and everybody that I'm documenting. Nonetheless, the entity is keeping the fake sun in the same position that it was at 11 o'clock in the morning, and I'll go ahead and take a picture of that. That is the entity that was stalking me by helicopter as well, by the way, while I'm at the same Ontario Town Square, while I'm uploading evidence which the Ontario Police is keeping under surveillance. And at what is the current time is 4:48 p.m., the fake sun is in the same position. I'll go ahead and take a screenshot of that. It's in the same position that it is in the morning while I am looking at Wells Fargo at 240 North Euclid Avenue. And then you have what is the sun that is, if it were a natural environment and this was not targeting, if it was not the ability to identify a malicious criminal system that's supposed to exist in plain sight and not be questioned and not be suspicious, therefore criminally defaming any sort of targeted individual that doesn't have any evidence, then the sun would be in a position that it's not going to be over Wells Fargo, the building, over the Ontario Town Square, over me, aiming any sunlight underneath the covered structure and into the entrance of the OVITT Family Community Library, which is absurd, impossible activity in the first place. But none of this has even any basis to exist whatsoever, even as I scrutinize that impossible light activity. But nonetheless, when the sun is outside of the Fontana Lewis Library, you're looking at all that impossible light activity. Look at the evidence. This is how you're recognizing targeting in the aggregate. In the aggregate, you're not looking at you are looking at it. It's a low hovering light source. It's beside buildings. Sunlight is aimed underneath structures. It reflects off of windows and then causes your shadow appear above your head, multiple shadows. I can scrutinize directly just with one image, one video, but you're also recognizing the pattern of conduct in the aggregate, meaning as you document, then you're looking back and then you are clearly seeing it. What's outside of what's over the roof of the Fontana Lewis Library, outside of the window of the Fontana Lewis Library, what time it's there and how long it remains there while I remain there. And then the next day when I'm nowhere near the city of Fontana or that facilitating venue, what is over me in the city of Pomona? What is over me, pray tell, when I'm on Foothill Boulevard in Upland, California? What is over me while I'm in Montclair at the Montclair Transit Center at the same time? When I am stationary in one city and moving in real time throughout another, and the same identifiable uniform placement of a light source. Even as you are going from city to city, that is impossible to maintain. And then you're getting to the bigger picture, because not only am I not the center of the universe regarding the natural environment, neither is California, neither is Southern California. So what is remaining over you in Florida? Again, 3 hours ahead of us while I'm showing you no movement of a fake sun. No movement. Okay, this is the entity that is stalking, and they're stalking as demons. It is the demon possessed that are engaging in this conduct. The engineer light is the product of their practicing witchcraft. These are not human beings. Okay, they're demon possessed. This is the Nephilim. Okay, these are reptilians. These are not normal people. They are demons, and their demonic activity is relevant for prosecution for criminal surveillance and domestic terrorism based on psychological tortures relevant to their demon possession. Okay, because you're stalking with light, because you're stalking with amplified noise, because you're harassing on a ceaseless basis in doing so, because you're doing so as a population of mentally ill psychopaths who are maliciously targeted. Because of all of that and more, which is all supported by evidence, you're going to be prosecuted for domestic terrorism, and you're doing it in furtherance of murder. They're gang stalking not for funsies, but because they're trying to murder this person and get away with it by hiding behind a natural environment. Nothing to see here. This person's just crazy. Don't listen to them. They're paranoid. There's nothing going on here. We're all law-abiding citizens. We love our children, and we send them to college, and they become well-to-do contributions to society. Okay, I lead Bible study. I go to this church every week. I hand out pamphlets and I give out food to the homeless. There's nothing to see here. Okay, and we are calling the police because the targeted individual is the problem, not us. While they're gang stalking, and they're doing so to commit murder that's never questioned. You're going to federal prison. It's domestic terrorism. Okay, this is what an entity is doing in a readily identifiable environment, and every single airline of the Ontario International Airport, that's nothing other than a label, a deceptive one. It's a domestic terrorist. It's a sex offender. because you're going to prosecute for the crime, and the crime is inherently sexually violent. That is, companies are going to be prosecuted, and that criminal conduct is relevant to a company committing sexual violence, and that's based on what the entity is doing while they're demons engaging in that pattern of conduct, and that is horrible for your business reputation, but that's exactly what it is, and that's exactly what they're doing, and that's exactly how you're going to be prosecuted, and that's perfectly capable of being executed in court. All right, Alaska Airlines and Southwest Airlines, the city of Ontario, fully put on the map and publicly exposed as sex offenders, engaging in what is sexual violence as an entity, engaging in domestic terrorism, and it's not just going to be a city. I've prosecuted the state of California. The United States government is acting via the state of California. That's the big picture, because that's where I'm at. It's a United States government pattern of conduct, meaning it's federal because of the environment. That's letting you know that they're targeting in Florida, they're targeting in Nebraska, they're targeting in Boston, Massachusetts, they're targeting in New York, they're targeting in Texas, in Nevada, they're targeting in Washington, they're targeting throughout the country, because that's not the real sun, that's a fake sun, it's a light source. This is speaking to the presence of the Nephilim who are everywhere. It's speaking to the corruption of the public entity itself, which is nationwide. It's not just the city of Ontario. I have totally, utterly gutted out the city of Ontario. But it's not just Ontario, and you're going to federal prison for domestic terrorism. These are national security threats. This is letting you know what's going on in the rest of the country. This is letting you know what actually happened to people who are gone mysteriously, an air of mystery around it. They were murdered as an entity committing that. That's what demons do. This is what Satan is doing. All right, those license plates represent the people of the state, and the entity that's doing so, this is relevant for what is deportation. This is changing federal law. I just want to be clear. It is necessarily changing federal law, too, because of what the government is committing. And you're doing it and permitting immigrants to be in this country to partake in that. And literally, they're doing so with immunity. So you have immigrants that are in this country, and they find it to be their right. Okay, they become haughty when I document and I speak to the policy regarding deportation and immigrants. And that's because they have a misconception regarding the privilege to be here, the revocable privilege to be in this country. That's why, and you know why? Because the government is corrupt, because you have demons like the Ontario Police that terrorize me while I document them. And I'm documenting the Ontario Police while I document them. That's why you have that problem. And that is also put in the proper perspective by deportation. I don't know where that haughtiness came from, but there needs to be a humbling, and there will be a lot of humbling when people are shipped out of this country. You don't have a right to be here and terrorize other people. And if you've been coerced into thinking that you can only be here if you engage in terrorizing other people, well, you now have a basis to report that, because that's not the truth. And it's not going to be a basis to keep you. You're getting deported, period. But it is establishing precedent. It is entirely un-American. So you're engaging in what is terrorism in the United States. In case it's not clear, terrorism is anti-American. That's how we represent ourselves internationally. These are ideas that are in what are our founding documents, which most of these demons don't know they don't know anything about it. They don't even read while they're stalking me in a library. All they're doing is sitting around making noise, just like the demons do with helicopter and planes over and over. All they're doing is sitting around stalking with noise and engineer light. These are psychopaths engaged in 24-hour surveillance, sitting next to me, stalking me on the bench while I'm sleeping outside, going to where I'm at, sleeping outside, stalking me with their planes and helicopters there. Doing so while the fake moon is over me wherever it is that I'm laying my head down. Pay attention to the entity. The fake moon's over me at the Fontana Chamber of Commerce, and then I'm at the Ontario Town Square where the fake moon is over my head. The same location where the fake sun is over my head, including right now. Okay, every airline is a sex offender, and that's how they're going to be prosecuted under the law. And the so-called Ontario Airport Board is not going to be any such airport board. They're engaged in terrorism, and you're going to be prosecuted for the ongoing terrorism that I documented. And it's going under your name, Julia Goo, and it's going under your name, Ronald Leverage, and it's going under your name, sex offender going by Alan D. Wapner. It's going under your name, Jim Bowman and Carl Hagman. It's going under all of your names individually while you are collectively engaging in domestic terrorism against the ordinary target individual on whose behalf I am prosecuting the United States government for terrorism. And that's just one feature within the city of Ontario. You have the whole demon and sex offender keeping my vagina under surveillance, who is Mike Lorenz, a domestic terrorist leader. So this is just understanding how terrorism is operating in the United States and literally creating a nomenclature, understanding the system, how that operates, and how you're engaging in what is analogous to a terrorist leader in another country. The so-called gang stalking police chief, that's a domestic terrorist leader in the United States. That's how this system operates. You're not under the facts of the pattern of conduct. Oh no, you're not a fire chief. You're a terrorist leader. And we do certain things to terrorists in the United States. There are penalties for terrorists attacking and targeting American citizens. There's penalties for that. And so you're no longer cloaked with any sort of disguise. You're being exposed, and you're going to be treated as the enemy of the United States that you are. That you actually are. You like chasing down American citizens in commercial planes? Not only is that going to be a humiliating basis for your mental examinations, but you're going to be prosecuted as a terrorist in the United States. You like to engage in that. You also like to engage in murdering them and having it depicted as an accident, a tragic accident that needs to be investigated, or we don't know what happened. We don't know what. They're engaging in sacrificing people, just like the demons that are stalking me in planes, engaging in what is demonic. Psychological torture is of Satan. It's demonic. And that's what these demons are doing when they're stalking in planes and helicopters and stalking as a police department, engaging in what is trying to play with your mind, trying to threaten you in subtle ways, threatening you by being present everywhere that you're at, even while not speaking to you, and then even harassing you, falsely accusing you. These are all psychological torture tactics. These are terrorists that are seeking to commit murder when the circumstances provide for it. There is no other reason why a police department, you're not just talking about one officer in a department or a stalker that happens to be a police officer. The entire agency is stalking one person. They're doing that to commit murder. And that is reasonably construed from a whole agency calling itself a police department, stalking, targeting an American citizen. You're doing that in furtherance of murder and to get away with it in particular. And that's exactly why you're going to prison. It's terrorism. It is escalated because of the nature of the crime and because of the actor, because it's the government. The government that is, again, capable of controlling that narrative, engaging in and getting away with that crime itself. That's terrorism. You're going to prison for that. Justice requires that because of that unlawful threat. That ordinary American citizen, you cannot come. You're talking. I don't want to say can't because you're witnessing it happen, but you're talking about the average person. Oh no, you're not coming against a government successfully. You're not. That's not going to happen. You're going to prison because of that, though. They do that on purpose. You're going to federal prison. All right. So it's currently 5 p.m. as you can hear. The entity has the fake sun. You have demons that are sprinkled about at the Ontario Town Square. One demon gets up, another one is replaced. They're engaging in surveillance. And the fake sun is over the same Ontario Town Square as it is at 7 in the morning. And so I'm showing you when I go away somewhere else, for example, getting on Route 83 and going to Chino, getting on Route 61 and going to Pomona, that's when you're looking back at what they're doing at the Ontario Town Square. It's surveillance. And they're demons stalking me together while the demons maintain plane and helicopter activity under a fake sun, stalking with impossible light, which is what they're doing at nightfall, stalking with impossible light. They're monitoring, and that's mental illness exhibited. Just want to make sure that that is understood. This is P.O.C. The following license plates represent the people of the state, and the state of California is being prosecuted with regard to the United States government's criminal pattern of conduct as the city of Ontario, the city of Chino, the city of Upland, the city of Montclair are engaging in the pattern of conduct as I documented today. Doing so through every level of government. The city of each of the respective cities are engaging in the same pattern of conduct, stalking me by planes, stalking me by, in other words, engaging in aerial surveillance. The hallmark, as I've shown at the outset, was stalking by helicopter, which I've shown through a plethora of the counties and cities as I've gone through Southern California, and the entity, including in Nevada. And the entities engaging in this identical pattern of conduct with the hallmark of stalking by helicopter. And the entity is also engaging in what is a pattern of conduct, the license plates. And the entity that I'm documenting is equally engaging in the pattern of conduct, which is relevant to what is domestic terrorism, psychological torture, sexual violence, all committed as an entity, okay? And I document an entity by license plate as well. This is, again, a sex offender that's engaged in terrorism with the government. So with regard to the entity is acting through a population. So each, and this is speaking to, again, the incalculable harms behind domestic terrorism, where the government's engaging in targeting and contact with the population, gang stalking, group stalking. Group stalking is committed by government. The government is doing it in concert with the civilian population, and ironically, they're not civilians at all. These are barbarians. These are the demon possessed. Their animalistic behavior, their barbaric behavior, is speaking to what is designed to devastate, traumatize, destroy another American citizen before taking their life and kidnapping them. And the government is engaging in this with the people of the state. All right, so this is, again, harassment, terrorism, and psychological torture by entity engaged in group stalking and monitoring, which is committed in the specific environment. So as I go from Ontario to Chino to Montclair to Upland and back to Ontario, you're looking at the specific environment remain, meaning the fake sun remains over me as I document at 537 North Euclid Avenue, where I am right now, where the city of Ontario is stalking by maintaining hovering planes over me while the people of the state are stalking with impossible light activity, which is what they're all doing together, while a fake sun remained, and that's what I documented, a fake sun remained over me on bus route 83 to the Chino Transit Center, bus route 84 to the Montclair Transit Center, bus route 66 to Fontana and Euclid Avenue and bus route 83, back to what is C Street in Euclid, passing 537 North Euclid Avenue. And in that video, you're looking at, during the 11 a.m. hour, the same location where I captured the sunrise, where the Ontario International Airport is stalking me using commercial planes. That is done in furtherance of psychological torture, sexual violence, harassment, obstruction of justice, and to terrorize and threaten an American citizen that it is now engaging in while they're being prosecuted. So this is adding a layer to the prosecution and informing federal legislation. The government that's engaging in the corrupt system of group stalking does so with the intent to get away with it, meaning you are anticipating and expecting the government to lie, to engage in all manner of criminal conduct in order to obstruct, avert justice. Okay, and that's what the entity is doing by group stalking the federal prosecutor, by group stalking while the documentation is being published, by group stalking as a means to intimidate, retaliate, their unsuccessful and feckless and literally expired witchcraft. This is what these demons are actually doing, but I'm prosecuting them in the physical with evidence that they are, in fact, stalking. Okay, but this is relevant to, again, the perpetual sex offense, sexual assault and battery committed as an entity, the molestation with impossible light, the criminal surveillance in bathrooms, the entity engaging in corporate invasion of privacy, the entity keeping you under surveillance in private spaces like in every hotel room, in my apartment at Alvarado Gardens, in any bathroom. That's, again, the bathroom monitoring. This is the public entity, the city of Ontario, the people of the state of California. They engage in repeating this sexual violence as an entity, which is publicly documented and published. And it is also revealing severe mental illness and an obsessed predator that is the entity itself that is gang stalking. Okay, that entity takes on company names. That entity takes on departments of government. That entity, in other words, the entity, the public entity, is cloaking itself behind a neighborhood, cloaking itself behind a company name, behind an establishment, behind an event like Route 66 car show. It's cloaking itself, and it's the same identical pattern of conduct in its public corruption, while the government and civilian population, who are actually the government, they're not private citizens, while they're engaging in surveillance with the government, they are sharing that corrupt system of group stalking. And I am documenting the entity by license plate, and it is also a public service so that people are aware of and can identify sex offenders, as I am identifying them by city, I'm identifying them by business name, I'm identifying them by license plate, I'm identifying them by whatever it is that I am capturing, identifying that entity that is acting through one person, a group of people that are in my presence. It's acting through an entire city, but as one person that's documenting, I am documenting as I am encountered with that entity that is ceaselessly engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring with the intent that is acting in furtherance of criminal conspiracy by the government to commit murder, to accomplish killing someone, sacrificing. That's murder, homicide, and kidnapping, or kidnapping. Okay, so I just want to make sure that this is clear when I'm going through the license plates, as I'm going from city to city, and as you are witnessing the entity that engages in ongoing group stalking while they are witnessing their real-time prosecution. When you document the entity by any means, it is exposing the rest of the everyone else in that irrelevant position to you. It's because this is not a crime committed by an individual. So when you go to Amazon Fresh, for example, and you're being monitored by a customer in the store, everybody in the grocery store is monitoring you, including the company itself. Amazon Fresh is monitoring you. Outside the shopping plaza where Amazon Fresh is located, that entire shopping plaza is monitoring you. Where that shopping plaza is located on that street, everyone on that street, every business, every facilitating venue where the people of the state reside, they're monitoring you. When you are on that street when you're realizing that pattern of conduct, everyone in that city where that street is remaining is monitoring you. And it's the same knowledge when the entity is stalking through the police department, when the entity is stalking through the city, the municipality itself. It's exposing the entirety of the population that is monitoring you. And that is what is, and I've gone through the body of evidence to show you how the pattern of conduct is just that. It is a very specific pattern, an identical pattern. And while the entity, any aspect of the entity engages in the pattern of conduct, the rest of the entity, that is the entire state, is engaging in that same pattern of conduct. That is exactly what I've been stating. While you have placed a fake moon over me at the same location where the fake sun is rising over me at 537 North Euclid Avenue, I took a picture of it, take a look at it, and it's currently 8:07 p.m. That is exposing the entirety of the city of Ontario. And the city where that's, in the state where that city remains, that entire state is engaged in monitoring. That is inherent, and it is absolutely necessary. It's not a contingency. When you have what I documented today, a function of the state, California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, gang stalking, and the entity doing so with regard to knowledge of the documentation of me capturing law enforcement agencies, doing so with knowledge of the fact that I'm going from city to city capturing video, and you are looking at the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation at the Montclair Transit Center, and you're looking at the fake sun over me in Montclair, California, under circumstances where I am sitting still at the Ontario Town Square, for example, not moving at all. And while I'm in the city of Montclair, you're having that mutual environment, that mutual experience, which is, again, impossible to naturally occur. That's giving you context about the state of California, especially when a department of the state is engaging in that pattern of conduct. And not only that, when you see the fake sun, it's moving as I walk to encounter the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, capturing their license plate, capturing them targeting with who? The people of the state. The entity is engaging in this in that same exact specific environment, and as the California Department of Correction and Rehabilitation are captured engaging in the pattern of conduct, just like the Marine Corps captured engaging in the pattern of conduct, the entity is engaging in what is the pattern of conduct, which is exposing the rest of the state of California. Just like the California Department of Motor Vehicles engaging in the pattern of conduct, the entire state of California is engaged in monitoring. This is what is built into when you are understanding and capable of recognizing that pattern of conduct. You are then given the information about what the entity never wanted you to know. The entire state of California is engaged in monitoring. And not only that, this is happening across the globe based on what you are now aware of. They're all engaged in monitoring under a fake sun. All right, so that's the ability to expose the entire state while a bunch of intellectually impotent and inferior demons that lack self-control and have no strategy for circumstances like this, when the witchcraft doesn't work, when the spell work doesn't work, and the target individual is healthy and virile and also very ambitious and is determined to finish the job, they don't have a strategy. What you're witnessing is ongoing criminal conduct in the face of federal prison, in the face of removal from office, impeachment, in the face of what is a criminal record that is going to change the trajectory of the domestic terrorist life, in the face of deportation and things like that. They don't have a strategy. It's never happened to them before. The entities engaged in this conduct, and they're doing so with regard to what is necessarily and simultaneously exposing the entire state of California. And it's giving you information about what's going on in the rest of the country based on the pattern of conduct itself. The idiots are stalking under a fake sun. Okay, so like I stated, the entities engaging in this pattern of conduct, and it is it's automatically letting you know about what's going on with everybody else in that location, in that city, in that state. Okay, so like I said, that's the documentation, and that's the significance of capturing the specific environment, capturing the behavioral pattern in that environment, and also capturing what is the entity and all of the iterations of the same exact elements of monitoring. All right, and so that's included in the documentation, which I'm going to include with regard to the license plates. License 8 Kelly Frank Wendy 740. This is the city of Chino. 7 Thomas Igloo Paul 575. 8 Wendy Paul Robert 113. 9 Thomas Nancy David 419. 8 Henry Xavier Jerry 128. 1664130, I believe. Eight B as in boy. 62. Hold on. Let's see. That is license 8 Bob 52072. Substantially similar. 8 Mary Larry Nancy 768. 8 Victor Henry Charles 267. 07026 Yolanda 3. Kelly Apple Charlie I Charlie, or Kelly Apple Charlie Igloo Charlie. Let's see, David Robert Kelly Sam David Robert Nancy. 1664130, that is the infamous San Bernardino County. And you're always aware of the fact that the entity is tracking my steps. So I captured stalkers today engaging in what is stalking from place to place, which is not the role of a group stalker. Outside of what is stalking where you live, stalking where you work, or stalking where you routinely travel. For example, the demon-possessed gang stalkers at your Bible study. The demon-possessed gang stalkers at the CHEVRON that work there. The entity is engaged in what is gang stalking, and they're doing so specifically and deliberately as a population of, again, ostensibly strangers, but they're not strangers at all, and they know exactly who you are, and they are targeting you, and it's proven through that environment. That is supernatural. Okay, you're not talking about it being a natural environment and then you're just stating, well, look at the natural environment. That has no context to anything. If it's a natural environment, there's nothing suspicious about it. There's nothing connecting the behavior in that environment. And it is the entity's behavior is speaking to targeting in and of itself, but the fact that they're doing it in the specific environment, that is the scientific degree of certainty with regard to the targeting by that entity. So even the entity that is targeting by helicopter, the Ontario Police Department, for example, and the Los Angeles Police Department, they are very heavily documented targeting. Okay, they are targeting me at my job and in my apartment. They engaged in the public and private nuisance, LAPD, because they were targeting me in my apartment where I resided at Alvarado Gardens. And the public nuisance includes stalking me every day at the Ontario Town Square, for example. The entities engaging in the pattern of conduct of stalking by commercial planes where I'm located. This is the pattern of conduct that you can recognize even if there wasn't evidence, including a fake sun following me around. All right? But with regard to the greater pattern of conduct, when you're documenting the P.O.C. and you go into a city that you haven't been to before, like when I went to Bakersfield, Now, I had been to Bakersfield before. I hadn't documented in Bakersfield. That's what I practiced law briefly in Bakersfield, which is Kern County. So when you're going into to document as the feds, if you're going in to prosecute, if you are identifying, if you're investigating allegations of terrorism, targeting by a government in the state, in any state, the entity that's targeting with a specific environment, that's your ability to narrow down, and it's very specific with regard to that environment that is tailored to that individual that's being isolated, that individual that's being ostracized, that individual that's being terrorized, targeted by that entity that is surrounding them under things like a fake sun and a fake moon. All right, everything about the environment is tailored to them. It centers around them, and so does their behavior. Okay, so the entity engages in, and that's what makes it very obviously identifiable when you go into a city for the first time versus being in Ontario all the time, and you're looking at what is the entity stalking by helicopter and planes all the time, and you're so heavily documented, engaged in targeting me wherever I'm at in the city. I could prosecute the city of Ontario absent the evidence of the fake sun and the fake moon and the engineered light. Well, actually, the engineered light is relevant to the behavioral pattern, but it is also relevant to the specific environment, but it's also relevant to the behavioral pattern. So, so I could prosecute based on that. But the pattern of conduct, the behavioral pattern, speaking to targeting, is replete with a whole fake sun. Okay, the package includes science is directly contradicted by the criminal pattern of conduct by the government. I mean, it's a present. It's a present. In order to prosecute them, it's a present, okay? So the entities engaging in what is this pattern of conduct, and that is the ability to drive in. I'm driving. That's the ability to investigate any municipality, any location when you're identifying the targeting conduct, and when you're prosecuting the any public entity for it, versus like what I'm documenting in the city of Ontario, like I'm stating, and I'm here all the time, even absent the fake sun, I have a case for prosecuting the state, period. Prosecuting the state for domestic terrorism. But you understand the totality of the pattern of conduct includes items in the sky, like a fake sun and a fake moon. That's part of the demon-possessed, the mentally ill, the psychopath's pattern of conduct. That's a part of their pattern of conduct. Okay, so they're doing so, and that's what these imbeciles were supposed to be establishing. It couldn't have been, because they didn't count on you recognizing it. But the impossible light activity, is that supposed to be an explanation for the fake sun? The fake sun's supposed to be explaining that engineer light? Because it doesn't. It's not. The fake sun is nothing other than a very obvious means of identifying a demon. And where you see one demon under the fake sun, look up, because they're all demons surrounding you. All right? So the entities engaged in this conduct, and that's identifying that specific environment, and you're capable to identify it. It is axiomatic. Under the fake sun, monitoring is underway. Okay? And monitoring is underway by the government, and monitoring is demonic. So you're dealing with deceitful, desperate, obsessive, psychopathic, maniacal psychopaths. Okay? You're dealing with all of that. Okay, so you're talking about a certain level of crime and a certain type of criminal. All right, and a certain type of mind, but at the same time, it's not intelligent. It's not an intelligent mind. The fake sun tells you that, but at the same time, it's a desperate and obsessive mind. That's a threat as well. Not intelligent, but very obsessive and maniacal. Okay, the entities engaging in this P.O.C, and that's pointing out something to you with regard to identifying it, and while I'm going from city to city and I'm documenting that P.O.C, so that's relevant to what the entity is doing, and as it tells on itself, because that's what the entity do. All they're doing is telling on themselves, and that's built into what the definition of a pattern is. When you are engaging in a pattern, it becomes predictable what they're doing. That's the whole point of a pattern, and this is how you prosecute any stalking. The stalking happens to be the government. The government is stuck in a cycle. This is their pattern of conduct. And there's no other way for the obsessed demons to monitor. So that's why I'm capturing them engaging in the criminal conduct in real time, because they refuse to stop stalking and monitoring. That's also necessitating justice in the ways in which I've advocated, I've supported, I have spoken to, I've dictated. All right. But nonetheless, I just want to point out those points to you. San Bernardino County is tracking my steps. The fake son is letting you know that they know who I am and also where I'm at. So it's not a coincidence when San Bernardino County, that's engaged in criminal defamation, that's engaged in kidnapping me, that's engaging in a specific method of psychological torture, is crossing path under that fake son in Chino, California. That's not a coincidence, and that's the entity that's engaging in what is a very specific pattern of conduct. The entity is engaging in what is conduct where they want the targeted individual to encounter them. Somebody that raped the targeted individual, they're gang stalking you, so that rapist will drive up next to you while you're on the bus. The fake son is under you. That's what the entity is doing. Okay? They want you to experience that psychological torture in your mind. They want you to experience that fear. They want you to relive the harm that they've already inflicted through that particular gang stalker. That's an entity that knows who you are. There's nothing coincidental under the fake son. This is surveillance. So recognize the entity is engaged in what is surrounding you with any and everything to affect you while they are stalking you. It's all literally about you. It is. Okay, so that's relevant to San Bernardino County gang stalking, and that was a deliberate tactic, and it's not missed, San Bernardino County. You want to go to federal prison, that's what you're petitioning for, and that's what's happening. Because the San Bernardino County engaged in criminal defamation, and they engaged in criminal summoning and criminal defamation with the demons of the Ontario Police Department who do not help them. You cannot stand in court, and you're not going to stand in court having a leg. You don't have a leg to stand on. You're targeting me with that agency. That agency is following me day and night. They're stalking right now in the sky space. They're engaging in that, and you're going to stand there and state that you weren't targeting and that you don't know about the fake son and that you didn't intend to defame me and that you were stating that you had information and facts to suggest that I was actually mentally ill and that I was your client and that you were lying, but you didn't know that you were. You don't have a leg to stand on, I'm going to tell you right now. That's the entity stalking by plane. But the entity is the Ontario Police Department is stalking, but that was not helicopter. I will go ahead and clarify that. It doesn't matter. I'm prosecuting them. I don't have to lie or make up anything. They're going to prison. But nonetheless, the entity is engaging in tracking your steps. That's behind that tactic. This is what the entity was doing when they stole my car. You'll pay attention to my earlier documentation. Bill and Wags engaged in very heavy gang stalking. That was for them to engage in psychologically torturing and harassing me, specific to the entity stealing my car. And what agency was that? The Ontario Police Department. All right, and Bill and Wags, they enjoyed what was stealing my vehicle, gang stalking, meaning you're very specifically targeting me, and you're, again, acting with impunity, those demons that enjoyed stealing my vehicle and everything that I owned, and they engaged in ongoing gang stalking as you see that logo, as you see that rapist, okay, gang stalking you while you're under that fake sun. That rapist, that theft of your vehicle, thief of your vehicle is specifically targeting you. They're psychologically torturing you. That's a tactic that they engage in, and I'm going to prosecute for that. It's terrorism. It's also terrorism while a population is replicating that over and over and over again, because that's what they do. This is what an entity is doing with regard to the sex offender that is gang stalking at the OVITT Family Community Library. And doing so with the entity is, and when I say sex offender, I'm talking about the entity. So you're understanding the entities engage in any iteration, any sort of harm that they've inflicted. They will engage in gang stalking you in that same method in order for you to relive that. That's the intent behind that. And it's very specific. You're not coincidentally doing anything under the fake sun, number one. Second of all, it is very clear your intent to harm while you engage in stalking in the manners in which you do. And all you're doing is exposing your hand, and you are the one that's going to be committed and convicted. I've warned you before, that's exactly what's going to happen, but these are the tactics, and I'm letting you know what the entity is doing deliberately and maliciously. San Bernardino County is a gang stalker that's been engaged in terrorism, and that's been engaged in criminal defamation, that's been engaged in criminal summoning. Fontana Lewis Library, that's San Bernardino County. Targeting with Fontana Lewis, engaged in criminal summoning, and engaged in what is ongoing harassment while San Bernardino County is targeting. San Bernardino County is the San Bernardino TAD office at 1627 East HOLT. Terrorizing me in my public information with the county is public information while they're gang stalking me in that county office. Doing so under the fake sun, and you're talking about what's your name, verify your social security number. These are delusional demons. All right, this is a whole illusion. They're monitoring. And even as you verify your identity, it's all public information. And there's sex offenders monitoring my genitalia in the bathroom of that county office. Okay, this is all of that pattern of conduct. So like I stated, the entity that is engaging in this P.O.C. is the entity that is engaging in very specific and deliberate tactics. And when you are subject to harm, any sort of harms, where that aspect of that entity is also gang stalking under the fake sun, the entity is communicating a threat to you, especially while it's relevant because I'm documenting, I'm prosecuting. So these are, again, the imbeciles that think that you're going to threaten a federal prosecutor. You're going to regret it. I'm going to make you regret that. You're not going to, actually, they're doing it now as though there's a successful path for it, but these are delusional psychopaths. They're not brains, they're demons, okay? They're engaging in conduct that they're going to prison for, that they're going to be convicted for, that they're going to be exposed as a population for, okay? The city of Ontario is a sex offender. Every resident, every single last business, the entire body of government is a sex offender. Okay, they are engaging in the perpetual sex offense as an entity, and every business is sharing in that sexual violence and harassment and terrorism and obstruction of justice because they want to sexually violate, but then they also want to suppress that information, those facts. That's a psychopath. All right, so I just want to make sure that that's clear, and this is what's relevant with regard to San Bernardino County gang stalking on the roads and the highways under the fake sun. That does make it very personal and intentional and psychologically harmful. Okay, so just like San Bernardino County gang stalking with the Ontario Police at Ramada by Wyndham under the fake sun at 1841 East G Street. I believe that was at 12:52 in the afternoon. And the entity kept the fake sun over the Ontario Town Square today. Okay, this is the pattern of conduct, and I'm going to continue reading license plates. But I want to make sure that that's clear. License 1664130 is State Actor, San Bernardino County, on Sunday morning, gang stalking on the roads and the highways in a county vehicle, doing so pursuant to targeting me. Okay, I want to make sure that I clarify. The entity is sharing in what is domestic terrorism, sharing in psychological torture, and sharing in what is the perpetual sex offense, the sexual assault and battery that is committed as an entity. This is an entity that's engaging in this criminal pattern of conduct as one. They are engaging in surveillance altogether because the entity is never ceasing to be in my path in that specific environment. So this is, again, the entity that is collectively engaging in what is surveillance, never abandoning stalking, which is what they are doing as an entity, one by one by one by one by one. They are engaging in what is obsessively stalking as a collection of demons that make up one entity that's engaging in surveillance. It is group stalking, and they are sharing in that. So I want to make sure that that's understood as I document any business, as I document San Bernardino County, as I document license plates. This is an entity that's sharing in sexual assault and battery as an entity. You're not engaging in gang stalking while you're driving by, and then you cease to be engaged in that pattern of conduct, or you're not going to be prosecuted for sexual assault and battery while your co-defendant is stalking me in the bathroom. Yes, you are. The entirety of that entity is acting together as one. They are engaging in what is holding hands in the criminal conspiracy to commit murder and psychologically torturing until the day that they can commit that murder and commit that kidnapping. And you're going to be prosecuted for the totality of that act of terrorism. So I want to make sure that that is clear, and that's based on the pattern of conduct. It is ceaselessly underway. So no, you're not, and you are actually not just engaging what is driving by me on the bus while I'm on the bus and you're on the street. You're engaged in monitoring my vagina inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. You're engaged in molesting my breasts with impossible light while you're across the street from me, driving north and south on Euclid Avenue. You're engaged in terrorizing me in concert with the demons that are using helicopters and airplanes. You're engaged in all of that. It's one entity. You're engaged in theft of my property. You're engaged in criminal defamation. You're engaged in kidnapping. This is an entity that's acting as one. They engage in surveillance and stalking. They engage in all of that pattern of conduct together as one. It's just that the co-conspirators are millions of people, the entire state of California, which is terrorism. All right? This is the lawlessness of the demon-possessed that fill the state of California. So I want to make sure that that's understood because that is all encompassed as I'm reading license plates. Again, license plate 9 Henry Paul Frank 991. License 18 Xavier 5968. License 9 Jerry Charlie Larry 552. 8 Paul Zebra 160. 9 Kelly Mary Uncle 310. 03998 Bob 4. 9 Nancy George Frank 254. 8 Paul Frank Nancy 880. Kelly Apple Charlie Igloo Charlie. I might have read that one already. 9 Robert Victor Paul 539. 9 Larry Wendy Frank 073. 9 Mary Jerry Henry 592. 6 Robert 39860. 9 Frank Zebra Wendy 457. 9 Bob Robert 0 Kelly Apple Nancy, and then a symbol, a heart symbol. 7 Charlie 16112. 8 Xavier Wendy Victor 374. 9 Frank Wendy David 260. This is the City of Ontario. Now that I'm back in the City of Ontario, this is aboard Route 84 that's going toward Montclair. So this is going back into the City of Ontario at Holt Boulevard and Mountain Avenue. Again, where the fake sun is never over there because it's remaining over me at the Ontario Town Square, the Ovitt Family Community Library, Euclid Avenue, where I'm remaining. This is the entity keeping the fake sun back into the City of Ontario. License 7 Larry Thomas 271. 8 Kelly Igloo Mary 083. 9 Thomas Uncle Victor 132. 6 Charlie Paul Nancy 208. 9 George Robert Charlie 932. 8 Victor Charlie Wendy 795. 9 Thomas Uncle Victor 182. Nancy 6 Apple 4 Wendy Kelly. That looks like Arizona. That's an Arizona plate. 9 Henry Thomas David 256. 8 Paul Xavier Larry 603. 53859 Frank 4. 8 Frank David Henry 587. 7 George Nancy Frank 771. 9 Samuel Thomas Kelly 873. 74216 Uncle 3. 6 Jerry David Kelly 247. In case I didn't read that one already. 919 Jerry Mary. That's a handicap plate. Five Robert Zebra Apple 106. 5 Robert Zebra Sam 034. . 6 Mary George Bob 846. Edward George 84 Kelly 13. That's a paper plate. Six Edward David Frank 622. 9 Thomas Paul Uncle 973. 9 Henry David Wendy 013. 68793 Paul 3. 9 Larry Frank Apple 805. And Omnitrans license 1613627. That's bus number 1262. Foothill Transit, license 1403622. That's bus number F2156. Foothill Transit, bus number 1613522. And again, this is in the, I'm now in the city of Montclair, where Foothill Transit is gang stalking. And you will see impossible light activity while they are driving. And the fake sun is over me in the city of Montclair. That's a business, and those are demons operating those buses. They are engaging in gang stalking. It's public corruption as they do it on behalf of the state. Specifically, the city of Montclair is gang stalking me as well, which I also documented at the Montclair Transit Center. Greyhound. Greyhound is crossing path, gang stalking. License KD08056. That's a Texas plate. That is coach number 86557. At least that's on the outside of the door. Stalking with the same exact signature and possible light activity. Foothill Transit, license 1572566. Bus number 2738. Foothill Transit, license 1459307, bus F2309. Omnitrans, license 1545812. This is the Route 66 that I aborted to go back to Upland. License 1497024, Foothill Transit, bus number 2500. License 1546548. That's the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. Gang stalking replete with impossible light activity on the black asphalt on the ground of the passenger side of that vehicle while they are targeting, proven under a fake sun over me, while they're engaging in conduct that is on its surface supposed to appear as though they're engaging in something that has nothing to do with me, and also that they are in full authority to do so as the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, dropping off, for example, an inmate or a veteran or whatever this third-party status is. They're a demon and they're gang stalking, and the pattern of conduct is not changing at all. And that's speaking to the malice of the government that first surmised that it could target, and because of the government's identity alone, that it would never be questioned. The California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation is the quintessence of the malice of the public entity that's gang stalking. Okay, they're targeting me, and in the video, as I walk from the bus where I'm sitting and standing documenting to walking toward them, that fake sun moves over me as I encounter them and then get that license plate. That's, again, I want to be clear. Another department where Gavin Newsom is not ignorant about surveillance underway in the state of California. He's not ignorant about surveillance that's underway with the California Department of Motor Vehicles either. Okay? Not ignorant about the gang stalking mayors engaged in criminal surveillance. And under those demons that are calling themselves mayors, demons who are puppets of Satan like the Ontario police, not ignorant about that. This is speaking to massive corruption. Okay, these are cockroaches that have festered for a very long time. And Gavin Newsom is not ignorant about the Department of California Highway Patrol State Police engaging in the pattern of conduct. He's not ignorant about that. Not reasonably. And nor is he actually. I want to let you know that. He's not actually. Okay, but he's not reasonably ignorant about that. And not only that, that's speaking to what is beyond dereliction of duty to have this level of corruption under your watch while you want to run for presidency. He's not the first demon that would be in that office. However, this is demonstrating how he is unfit for that office. He's unfit for the office that he's currently holding hostage, engaging in surveillance in the state of California. All right. So again, that's California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, gang stalking me. Who I am is known by the entirety of the state of California. You have functions of the government, federal, state, and local, keeping me under surveillance, gang stalking me, going out of their way to come up with some iteration to engage in the pattern of conduct targeting me. And you're learning a lot about the entity that's gang stalking me and everybody that's participating in it. License 9 Edward Robert Wendy 190. License 8 Nancy Larry Frank 535. 7 Xavier Wendy Edward 644. The symbol, a heart, and then Charlie George Igloo Robert 0 Nancy. 5 Zebra George Uncle 003. 8 Nancy Larry Frank 535. 5 Xavier Larry Victor 351. 24560 Uncle 2. 8 David Samuel Wendy 375. 9 Nancy Apple 545. This is in the city of Upland, by the way. I'm now in the city of Upland, where Vaughn's, the Foothill Town Center at Foothill and Euclid Avenue, they're monitoring my vagina. The fake sun is over the Vaughn's grocery store. It's over the end that I enter that Vaughn's grocery store, and then as I exit at the opposite end of that grocery store, it's over that opposite end as I exit that Vaughn's grocery store, where I am under surveillance while I'm in the bathroom, in use of the toilet, engaged in private personal activity that is public information amongst the state of California that is keeping my vagina under surveillance and sending in demon-possessed puppets, homosexual predators to engage in gang stalking me in that bathroom. And it includes the Vaughns, the sex offenders who are employees at that facilitating venue. All right, and they're doing so with gang stalking demons, predators engaging in criminal surveillance in the male restroom. And that entire grocery store is keeping my vagina under surveillance as I walk out and I document. And that fake son speaking to everybody documented in that parking lot, sharing in that sex offense committed as an entity. The city of Ontario is doing this every day. Okay, this is the city of Upland engaging in the identical pattern of conduct. License Robert Uncle 006 handicap. 9 Paul David Paul 321. 96925 Bob 4. 9 Robert Uncle Xavier 388. 8 Zebra Mary Larry 961. 8 Henry George Edward 129. 8 Wendy Mary Apple 537. 8 Charlie Yolanda Larry 004. 8 License 7 Jerry Henry Xavier 771. 7 Frank Jerry Mary 376. 6 Robert Wendy Robert 078. 9 Nancy Kelly Xavier 036. 9 Jerry Samuel Mary 539. Paul Henry 2513. Looks like they're missing a character on their plate, or it's a handicap plate and they covered up that symbol, but I don't see 7 characters on it. License 9 Mary Paul Robert 291.
703 a.m.
License 6 Larry Larry Xavier 326. 8 Uncle Nancy Bob 507. 9 Charlie Apple Nancy 767. 7 Victor 0 Robert 496. 34149 D2, I believe. Yeah, 34149 David 2. 7 Victor 0 Robert 496. In case I didn't read that one already. I think I might have read that one. 7 Xavier Jerry 488. 9 Jerry Igloo Edward 006. 7 Charlie Wendy Jerry 999. 9 Nancy Edward George 111. 7 Yolanda Xavier Larry 006. 6 Charlie 74300. 9 Frank Thomas Jerry 774. 9 Larry Thomas Bob 925. 6 Charlie Jerry Sam 931. 8 Wendy 90638. That's Las Brisas. That looks like a commercial vehicle. 14924 Victor 3. George 774 Victor 0. 8 David Samuel 457. Samuel Apple Samuel Yolanda 18. 6 Robert 04194. 9 Robert Wendy Zebra 356. 71399 Thomas 1. 6 Bob David Wendy 482. In case I didn't read that one already. 24560 U2 or 0 Uncle 2, sorry. This is the South Dakota plate. 48 Uncle 303. 8 Bob Xavier George 665. 7 Yolanda Queen Mary 575. 9 Sam Igloo Yolanda 610. 8 Zebra Victor Robert 666. 6 Charlie Bob Yolanda 699. 8 Zebra George Larry 029. 9 Apple Henry Wendy 861. 6 Wendy Jerry 495. 5 Larry Thomas
113, I believe. 6 George Bob Zebra 608. 6 Yolanda Zebra Kelly 286. 8 Apple Queen Apple 880. 8 Robert Nancy Xavier 963. 9 George Jerry Victor 760. 6 Sam Robert Victor 157. 8 Sam Paul Nancy 727. 8 Paul Victor Xavier 258. 9 George Igloo Xavier 423, in case I didn't read that one already. Because I'm literally going through a parking lot, and I'm getting everybody in the aisles. So when I'm going down and up and I'm getting both sides, that's where I might be. So apologies if I'm reading duplicates. 7 Bob 0 Apple 921. 8 Bob Henry 932. 8 David Samuel Wendy 375. 5 Xavier Larry Victor 351. 7 Thomas Henry 2919. 8 Nancy Larry Frank 535. 50499 Charlie 2. 64727 Edward 3. 9 Mary Uncle Jerry 196. 9 Henry Larry Yolanda 310. 6 Wendy Yolanda Larry 421. 6 Henry Mary Edward Bob 66, or 6 Henry Mary Edward 866. I believe it's an 866. 6 Bob Paul Zebra 551. Or 6 David Paul Zebra 551. 9 Kelly Zebra Paul 600. 6 Bob David Wendy 482. 8 Victor David Uncle 280. 8 Sam Zebra Jerry 269. 7 Jerry. So you can scratch that one. I can't see that one. It's not legible enough. 8 Victor 0 Uncle 280. 7 Robert David Charlie 943. 7 Victor Bob Jerry 327. 5 Henry Yolanda Xavier 364. Edward Larry Paul Uncle Frank L Puff is what it says. Edward Larry Paul Uncle Frank. 7 George Xavier Kelly 552. 8 Paul Robert Yolanda 299. 8 Frank Paul Yolanda 966 or 964. Yeah, 8 Frank Paul Yolanda 964. 9 Thomas Kelly Sam 905. 64733 Robert 2. 04172 Apple 2. 9 Mary Victor Paul 988. 5 Kelly Victor Henry 331. 9 Paul Charlie Jerry 043. 7 Xavier Kelly Henry 857. 7 Yolanda Henry Nancy 984. Bob Henry 0247, that's Washington. 9 Nancy Igloo Bob 792. Charlie George Larry 9421, that's Georgia. 6 Robert Zebra 737. 8 Frank Mary Uncle 591. 9 Frank Henry 404. 7 Kelly Larry David 218. 9 Mary Igloo Xavier 688. 9 Mary Apple George 543. 5 Victor 0 Edward 605. Or 5 Victor Queen Edward 605. Again, 9 Nancy Igloo Bob 792. In case I didn't read that one, I could see it more clearly in this picture. And 7 Mary Igloo Xavier 688. 8 Sam Uncle Xavier 671. 46432 David 1. Yes, and that is indeed 5 Victor Queen Edward 605. Nine Larry Mary Bob 336. 8 Yolanda Bob Mary 630. 7 Apple Xavier Robert 284. Substantially similar. 1404973, that's bus 1329, that's Omnitrans. 9 Samuel Queen Frank 799. 9 Samuel David Frank 799, excuse me. Nine Edward Zebra Jerry 835. 9 Victor Charlie Robert 017 or 9 Victor Charlie Bob 017. That's a Ford Mustang. Nine Bob Thomas Kelly 857. City of Ontario, license 1564880. This is in the City of Ontario, again, having come from Upland. I'm literally at the Ontario Town Square now, so. I mean, at this point in documentation, not right now. License plate, 9 Uncle Zebra Edward 887. License plate, 79079 Larry 3, I believe. Nine Uncle Edward Xavier 170. All right, license 7 Uncle Edward Sam 743. License Edward Yolanda 204, handicap. License 8 Frank Larry Sam 252. License 7 Bob Nancy Apple 769. 7 Xavier Apple Frank 118. 22865 Sam 1. 9 Larry Wendy Larry 753. 7 Zebra Nancy Sam 965. 79079L3. Again, monitoring my vagina this afternoon, coming out of the restroom and coming out of the OVITT Family Community Library under the fake sun, and is engaged in state surveillance. So is specifically stalking, not coincidentally meeting me in Engineer Light to gang stalk me and molest me with impossible light activity at what is 7:27 p.m. And then this same demon-possessed gang stalker, this is a third party, is also engaged in gang stalking at the Chevron at 506 North Euclid Avenue. This is the entity that's engaging in the sex offense, stalking me at the OVITT Family Community Library, stalking me at the downtown luxury Ontario apartments as I'm walking down the street, engaging in the sex offense and doing so, monitoring my vagina in the bathroom of the OVITT Family Community Library, molesting me, engaging in sexual assault and battery, molesting me with impossible light, stalking me at Euclid and D Street, stalking and molesting, again, as a sex offender, engaging in sexual assault and battery as an entity, while gang stalking as a patron at Chevron with the Ontario International Airport as well. Doing so with knowledge of the fact, because that demon is aware that I went behind their vehicle and took a picture of them this afternoon. I took a picture of them again in the street, and then they went to Chevron, anticipating that I'm going to Chevron because I always go to Chevron, and the demon-possessed, obsessed psychopath goes to Chevron to engage in more stalking me. This is the sex offender that placed a female in the driver seat of that vehicle because these demons presuppose that it is less sexually violent for a woman to engage in monitoring my vagina than for you to see a face of a male. They are all engaging in it. There is no gender that's legally relevant. They are all engaging in what is monitoring the genitalia of a private citizen that should not be being kept under surveillance. And that's what they're doing. And the females that are doing that are actually homosexuals, including the female that's in that vehicle with that license plate. And this is bringing up another point. This is what San Bernardino County is doing, and this is what this sex offender is doing. Whoever is sitting in the driver's seat of the license plate that I document, that's neither here nor there. You're there, you're being documented. Whoever is driving your company vehicle, whoever is working or present on your property, you are being prosecuted. This is putting the onus on the entity. If you don't want to be prosecuted for gang stalking, I suggest you stop hiring demons. If you don't want to be prosecuted for gang stalking, I suggest you stop gang stalking with the government. That's between the entity that's engaging in public corruption together. That's between the entity that permits demons to drive their vehicles and be in their homes, gang stalking other people. The onus is going to be on them because the entities engaging in this P.O.C. together, and the entity that's engaging in the system, they're going to duke it out with each other. The targeted individual is going to document, and whatever license plate, whoever's name is being documented, that's who's being prosecuted. And the third party that's operating that vehicle, if it's distinct, they're being prosecuted as well. The entities, you can put a female in the passenger seat as well. You're a sex offender, all the same, by the way. You're not less of a sex offender because you're a female. You're a homosexual sex offender because you're a female monitoring my vagina. And this is a demon that's a male that's gang stalking, driving the vehicle at nightfall after I'm documenting that same vehicle stalking me under the fake sun. He is a sex offender, and so is she, whoever that homosexual is, monitoring my vagina inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. And that's what I'm speaking to. Gang stalkers are doing so as a stranger, ostensibly as strangers. They are not strangers. They're targeting you with impossible light. They're targeting you with the government that's stalking you with helicopters and planes. They're stalking you under a fake sun. They know exactly who you are, and they're tracking your steps. Meaning, when you're stalking me, you are very much stalking me when you arrive at the destination before me. Also, when you arrive at the destination that I'm going to on a frequent basis. This is a very unintelligent entity. They're going to be thoroughly and comprehensively prosecuted. But that third party is engaging in terrorizing me, and I'm running into this co-conspirator to my murder over and over and over again. Okay? Doing so with knowledge that the stalker is being documented, and they are engaging in more and more conduct that's relevant to an unlawful threat posed by the entity. License 79079L3. License plate 7 Thomas Jerry Edward 121. 9 Nancy Mary Yolanda 668. 7 Charlie Apple Victor 178. 9 George Jerry Zebra 251. 6 Larry Kelly Yolanda 238. Charlie Yolanda 26 George 11. That's a paper plate. License 7 Xavier Igloo Yolanda 347. License 6 Thomas Larry Kelly 615. License 9 Sam Frank Apple 395. License 6 George Paul Larry 270. And again, the sex offender again stalking at another venue. License 79079 Larry 3. Inside of the Chevron, you will see stalking. They're all inside of the Chevron, stalking me, maintaining presence, making sure that I don't go anywhere where they're not present, they being the demon-possessed people of the state who go into any and every venue, engage in surveillance with that business and with the employees of that business. And they also do so while they're on the grounds of your property. Also, that's not any sort of contingency. You will be prosecuted as a business. This is statewide surveillance. And they're engaged in surveillance at all places at all times. You're going to be prosecuted. You can put somebody else in your car if you want to. You're going to be prosecuted. License plate 6 Nancy Yolanda David 346. License plate 8 Mary Victor Mary 202. 8 Wendy Victor Mary 202. This is a very mentally disturbed homosexual. She's out in the middle of the night stalking me. She's doing so by sitting at the gas stall. And the moment that you see her get out of the car is the moment when she stopped sitting there stalling with her foot on the brake because she was monitoring with light behind me while I was uploading capturing images and screenshots of the Ontario International Airport stalking over the ARCO north of my person. South of my person. Now that I'm at 537, that's why they're not over by the ARCO flying over there or over the Ontario Town Square. That's why they're right here by me. Just like the sex offenders that want to be right by me while I'm naked in the bathroom stall. Just like the demons that want to be right by me while I am sitting on the bus bench right here. They want to be right by me everywhere that I'm going. This is literally the demon-possessed that are obsessed with me, and they're using claims with regard to their mental illness, stalking me obsessively. Those are the sex offenders that represent each airline. Those are the sex offenders that represent the Ontario Board. Those are the sex offenders that represent the Ontario Executive Board. Those are the sex offenders that represent the City of Ontario. Okay? That's P.O.C. They're sharing in sexual assault and battery as an entity as well. Those airlines are going to be prosecuted in the same manner. They're engaging in that conduct with impunity. So not only is it going on the record that you're a sex offender, that's going under Julia Gou's name. She is a sex offender. She is a predator. She is a homosexual predator, keeping my vagina under surveillance as an entity, doing so with knowledge and the intent to murder me while she's abusing her position on a malicious Ontario board where that airport is a means of keeping me under surveillance and furtherance of ultimately murdering me. And she's engaged in an ongoing cycle of sexually violating me. And I'm going to prosecute her for it. And she facilitates sexual violence amongst the millions of people in the City of Ontario, gang stalking with that airport, gang stalking with her. P.O.C. License plate 5 Charlie 0 Frank 612. License plate 6 Uncle Wendy Nancy 973. License plate 8 Thomas Bob Xavier 605. License plate 9 Apple Edward Bob 058. License plate all right, that is the last license plate that I have. I want to document the entity engaged in the ongoing perpetual sex offense. Demons coming from behind the bucket crabfish crawl. Those are sex offenders. They're molesting from a tremendous distance. It's not their headlights. Those are demons. And the establishment is a sex offender. So is the airport that's stalking me by planes over here where I'm being molested. And the population of demons, the entire, including the license plate that I just read, obviously. But the City of Ontario is going to be prosecuted as a sex offender. Okay? It is P.O.C. This demon's license plate is 7608504. Engaged in sexual violence with the Ontario International Airport with Julia Gou, with Kurt Hagman, with Jim Bowman, with Alan D. Wapner, that are sharing in sexual violence together. They're stalking me by planes. That's amplified audible activity, stalking in the past, molesting with impossible light,
driving from behind a building on the opposite side of the street, and you're molesting my person by doing so. That's a sex offender that's desperate to touch me. In the same way that they're desperate to be next to me, so desperate that they spend thousands of dollars using commercial planes to do it. And they're doing that because they want to conspire my murder and psychologically torture until the point that Julia Gu can get away with murder and that you would never suspect her because she calls herself some sort of position holder on an Ontario board. She's nothing other than a closeted homosexual who's obsessed with my vagina, and she is a psychopath. If she is a candidate for deportation, that's exactly what's going to happen. And the entities engaged in this conduct, this ongoing patrolling by commercial planes and other ones, at 9:15 p.m., and there are no takeoffs over the Bethel Congregation Church. This is also where the fake sun was rising, and it was still over my head at 11 o'clock in the morning. That's where they're stalking, including Julia Wu, keeping my vagina under surveillance. This is P.O.C., and none of that is published on the Ontario International website. None of that is published on the Ontario International website. So I want to make sure that you're listening to that, making sure that you can hear that, because that's the legal analysis of everybody on that Ontario board. That's the legal analysis of everybody, except for the fact that Julia Gu was the only homosexual on that board. That's the legal analysis for everybody on that board of terrorists, for everybody that is on the executive board. Okay, the entities engaging in gang stalking, and there are no published flights that include takeoffs that will be hovering over this Bethel Congregation Church or over the ARCO, where I'm documenting the entity engaging in what is assault with a deadly weapon in concert with the airport, where they're engaged in stalking me inside of the Chevron with the Ontario International Airport, where the entity is doing the same thing with the Ontario Police Department. They're doing the same thing with regard to the entity engaging in what is kidnapping as well. This is the entity that's doing so, and the entity is going to be, this is an airport that's not going to exist in the same way that the Ontario Police Department is going to be removed as well. This is the strip down of the City of Ontario that is a sex offender. It is currently, by the way, where the entity is maintaining patrolling planes is 9:16. Doing so again about 45 seconds earlier, that's 9:15. About 90 seconds before that, 9:14, 9:13, and before that, 9:12. If you're listening to the background, none of that is published on the website. Neither are there planes taking off, hovering over at this distance from 2500 Airport Drive. There's no takeoff from that airport that's going to include any sort of plane activity that you would hear, that you would perceive. Neither would it be hovering over the storefronts like I'm documenting. It is also relevant context that this is again where I captured the fake sun this morning at 7:44 a.m. And as I'm on Route 83 returning to the City of Ontario, this is where the fake sun is over the top of my head for the duration of that route into different cities where the airport is engaging in that same exact pattern of conduct. And they're doing so with impunity. That is, they are desperately engaging in the conspiracy to commit murder while they're aware that they're being documented. And that psychopathic ongoing criminal agenda is exactly why the Ontario International Airport poses a threat to the public, and it's going to be shut down for engaging in what is conspiring the murder of an American citizen, keeping that American citizen under surveillance, stalking her, using that entire airport to do so, with regard to the malicious pattern of conduct that the City of Ontario, that is the state of California, is engaging in. It is currently 9:18 p.m. This has been the P.O.C., and this is documentation of the P.O.C. as I captured it throughout multiple cities today. Alrighty, it is not. All right, the terrorists of the Ontario International Airport include the deceptive term, it is a misnomer. They're not an executive team. They are a terrorist organization, and it is Atif El-Kadi, Karen Kavanaugh, Angela Lauber-Conroy, Celeste Heinonen, Charles Miwa, Elisa Gray, James Kessler, Jamal Aviles, Aaron Cello. And the, again, misnomer referring to terrorists as the Ontario Airport Board is nothing other than deceptive by corrupt government that's engaging in surveillance, hence stalking me wherever I'm at in the City of Ontario, which you see MONTCLAIR, you see Pomona mimicking that same pattern of conduct in a specific environment. Alan D. Wapner, Kurt Hagman, Ronald Loveridge, Jim Bowman, and Julia Gu. Okay, These are the terrorists that are accountable for, and they will be prosecuted with regard to the criminal conduct by the City of Ontario. Every level of government is engaged in targeting. That's the fire department, the police department, the gang stalkers calling themselves an ambulance service in the City of Ontario, and the Ontario International Airport. And that is the people of the state, which are a function of this corrupt system. They are representing the state vicariously. They're not private citizens. This is P.O.C. It also includes every airline of that Ontario International Airport. And so I will go ahead and identify them as well. They are a part of the class of defendants regarding terrorism, sexual violence, psychological torture, and the conspiracy to commit murder. That is Alaska Airlines, American Airlines, Avianca, China Airlines, Delta, Frontier Airlines, JetBlue, Southwest, Starlux, United, Volaris, Amazon, FedEx, and UPS. This is P.O.C.
This is the fake moon, and there's the fake police department. And this is a demon that has their hazard lights on and turned them off the moment that demon knew that I looked at him. He's stalking with the Ontario Police Department. This is a demon. They're all demons monitoring. That's to touch with light. That's a sex offender. License 9PER 9800 shares in that sexual violence, and so does QCD. Taking screenshots of them stalking with light activity, the flashing light and the engineer light under the fake moon that's over me, while the entity is keeping at the same intersection where I'm capturing the fake sun that remains over me. This is where an entity is keeping that light activity. This is a demon that was at the gas stall with his hazard lights on. This is where the demons of the Ontario Police are stalking. These are multiple shadows. These are demons. They're all stalking. And this is the prosecution of the entire City of Ontario that's a sex offender. The City of Ontario is a domestic terrorist. So is the fire department, the police department, the airport, and the gang stalkers calling themselves ambulance operators, EMTs. So is every business. I'm going to prosecute it comprehensively. That's what you're witnessing. This is mental illness that's being addressed through what is a criminal prosecution, such as stalking in the path with light. Because that's what this is. Okay, this is what the entity is doing with regard to presence in the path, even being a patron at a venue in order to stalk with presence in the path. This is P.O.C. It's 9:42 p.m. I'm on the ARCO Wi-Fi where they're engaging in federal stalking on the internet. They represent the state, and the state is being prosecuted. The state is being disbanded. The state's calling itself an Ontario Police Department. That agency is being disbanded. This is P.O.C. All right, these are demons engaging in sexual assault and battery as an entity with the Ontario Police, 6YEF758, and license 9KYZ349. These are demons, and they're stalking with impossible light. They're engaging in sexual violence with the government and with the Ontario Police. You see stalking on the same Euclid Avenue and engineer light under the fake moon, including using planes and helicopters. They're out in the middle of the night stalking a woman engaging in sexual violence. Again, this is P.O.C. This is the entity that's going to be prosecuted, and those that are going to be deported, this is why they're going to be deported out of this country as well. This is P.O.C. This is an entity that's engaging in gang stalking, doing so as an entity. Didn't even speak to this demon, but he knows exactly who I am. This is Title 18. That's a pattern of conduct. Look at his multiple shadows while he's engaged in monitoring. This is an entity that's engaged in Title 18 with the Ontario Police. This is why they're being disbanded. This is P.O.C. This is Title 18 federal stalking. Title 18 federal stalking. This is gang stalking with ARCO and harassment by ARCO and molestation by ARCO. This is P.O.C. And they're monitoring the evidence on the venue of the internet. Coming around and coming to ARCO, gang stalking to engage in monitoring. That's P.O.C. I want you to this is the gang stalking immigrants that are getting deported. They're getting deported. This is deportation. They're getting deported. This is P.O.C. They're getting deported. This is P.O.C. All right, it is currently 9:57 p.m. This is criminal conduct by ARCO, P.O.C. So I want you to see this is my shadow extending across the crosswalk. My shadow over here, they're engaging in sexual violence, stalking on the side of the roads, maintaining light activity, engaging in molestation. You're engaging in presence here to engage in gang stalking. You're not just turning because you're trying to head to a destination. You're doing so to engage in the sex offense. And these are the immigrants that hate this country, and they're being deported out of this country. And this is representing the whole population. They're getting deported. They're enemies of the United States. And this is speaking to what is a threat to the country, especially while it makes up a police department that's engaging in criminal conduct with the immigrants. P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 9:58 p.m. That's exactly why the Ontario Police are being disbanded, by the way. P.O.C. This is lawlessness while they engage in that conduct, and those are demons that fill the population.
gang stalking on the roads and the highways, and doing so with companies like ARCO, okay? P.O.C. This is Ontario PD. That third parties interfering with internet, and they're monitoring together with the police, just like the gang stalkers that are engaging in targeting with the immigrant population. And now while I'm uploading it onto the internet, the cowards that are engaged in harassment on behalf of that corrupt agency that is stalking with the gang stalkers, the people of the state, those who are immigrants as well, then the entity's trying to stop from putting it on the internet. And I'm also going to put this on the internet. This is why the immigrants are being deported. It is currently 10:53 p.m. That's a third-party company. They're engaged in light activity, relevant positioning. They're using a business as a guise of federal stalking right now with the entity that's stalking by helicopter. This is what this is what the police were doing with the people of the state that were gang stalking at the gas stalls. He's just there filling up petroleum, engaging in the same exact criminal system, trying to block the gang stalking immigrants from being identified on the X. And they're going on with the gang stalkers that are going to get the deported immigrants out of this state of California. This is P.O.C. It is 10:54 p.m.